Mike Gill.
Happy Hour Friday here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Matt Black Kia Studios on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Well, the Phillies found a way to not lose last night. I frankly can't give them a ton of credit for the game last night because when you have an opportunity to win and you see it slipping away, I don't know what Rob Thompson thought was going to happen last night, but man, I got a lot of questions about that man's sanity right now. Also, Jonathan Gannon spoke to the media today, had some interesting things to say about the team's defense, different personnel. So we will get into that as well. As always, you can join the conversation. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. All right, so here's the slate for today. Geoff Kerr from CBS Sports joins us coming up at 2:25 to get more into the NFL latest, the Kyler Murray fiasco, Eagles, and more. Ryan Rothstein for the Philadelphia CityCast at 3 p.m. Jeff Mosher for Football at 4. Dig deeper into the Eagles at training camp at 4 p.m. and happy hour with the PT at 5 p.m. Like I said, you can always join the conversation. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Let's get the Phillies out of the way first because, we're going to talk a lot of Eagles and NFL throughout the day. So there's plenty of time to get to that. But on Friday, July 29th, we are days away from the trade deadline. We are days away from this organization having their, put up or shut up moment. But I got to tell you guys, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that this organization keeps wanting to sell us on this idea that Jarius Familia should be pitching for this team. I don't understand why they kept him in for as long as they did last night. I had to rewatch the game because I didn't see it in real time. But I'm rewatching the game last night, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? And I'm watching the runs just tick, tick, tick. And I'm thinking, why is this guy still in the game? And I don't even know who to blame anymore. For all the people who love Rob Thompson, right? He let Jarius Familia throw 19 pitches and give up 5 runs before he pulled him. And you almost lost the game. So is that the manager's fault? Do we blame the manager for putting the team in that circumstance? Or do we blame the GM for insisting that this guy stay on the roster? I don't really have a good answer for this. I want to blame both, but I feel like someone's got to be more culpable in this situation, right? Like somebody's got to be more to blame because wasn't the whole point of firing Joe Girardi that Thompson was supposed to come in here and be different or do things differently or something like that? And now I'm looking around and I'm seeing What's going on here? Jurius Familia is just blowing 5 runs off the board as the Phillies almost had to go to extra innings. And look, it's easy to blame Familia because he's pitched pretty lousy most of the year. He's had a couple of okay outings overall. But the big picture, he shouldn't be pitching anymore. And this team keeps trotting him out there, hoping for the best. Look, it's one thing if you're in April and May and you're saying, okay, we'll figure it out, right? But now you're looking around and you're saying you literally almost lost the game. What are you doing, Rob Thompson? Like what was the moment that Thompson started realizing that this was a bad idea? Seriously. Was it after the triple? Or was it after it went from 8-2 to 8-4? I'm just curious. What was the moment in time that when you were up 8-0 and after the 7th inning, you're up 8-2, that you thought, you know who's a good idea right now? Jurius Familia. And then after you have 2 runs, what's Rob Thompson thinking? He'll be fine. He'll get out of this. I feel like the Phillies at this point are just insulting everyone's intelligence. Because every one of you listening to the sound of my voice on 97.3 ESPN FM or listening on 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City, all of you know that what you saw last night didn't have to happen. It didn't. You did not have to have that game play out the way it did. And with the deadline just days away, we keep talking about how the Phillies need pitching. And I agree. They do need pitching. But I ask all of you the question. At what point were you watching that game last night saying Rob Thompson might be the problem here? Because I don't know about you, but I was certainly thinking it. Because if he's not the problem, then is it Dombrowski? Is it the pitching coach? Who's the person that we got to have a talking to? You remember in the past, we heard the expression, the adult in the room? Who's the guy who's not being the adult in the room that we have to go have a talking to? I thought Rob Thompson was supposed to be the adult in the room. I thought Dave Dombrowski was supposed to be a baseball guy. But yeah, I'm sitting here, days for the deadline, losing my mind about a pitcher who shouldn't be in the game. I just don't get it. Look, I feel like we are at a point with this Phillies organization where it's a 2-step forward, 1 step back philosophy. Every time you feel like they're making progress, every time you feel like they might be moving in the right direction, something happens that makes you question what's going on here. That's how I feel. If you feel differently, let me know at 609-403-0973 on the text board or in the DMs through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I'm telling you how I'm feeling right now. I feel insulted. I feel disgusted. I feel like you lost the game last night. On paper, you won the game 8-7, but it feels like a loss. It feels deflating. It feels empty. It feels like when you get told we're going to go to this great restaurant and they have great food and everything there is great. And you leave there and you feel like, why did I go there? The food was average. The service was mediocre. The environment was very underwhelming. Everything about the experience was a letdown, from the food to the service to the environment. And you feel like you wasted your time and your money going to that restaurant, right? That's how the Phillies win feels to me last night. It feels like a waste. It feels hollow. It feels empty. But yet, I'm supposed to believe that Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski got it all figured out. Do they? Are we sure about that? I'm very frustrated with the Phillies right now. I have never been more miserable after a win in my memory. There's never been a point in my memory of the Phillies that I felt more disappointed. Like, there's been bad teams and you knew they were going to be bad, right? But this time round, you just feel like everything was just a waste of time. Joe from Ocean City says, last night was a joke. Joe, in Ocean City, you're right. You guys can join the conversation as well. That was Joe from Ocean City DMing us to the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. We'll talk more baseball a little bit later in the show. Ryan Rothstein from Philadelphia CityCast will join me at 3 p.m. Get some NFL here. So, Jonathan Gannon spoke to the media today, and there was a bunch of stuff that he said that, some of it was innocuous, some of it was interesting. But I had one serious takeaway from what he was saying. Gannon's trying to spin a lot of a positive good feels for the season. And I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why he feels good about things. The team feels good about things. He's happy. Look, I get it. There's a lot of positives coming off the offseason. But I got to be honest with you guys. I feel like Gannon is not answering the real question right now. Look, Gannon says that he believes that the organization has the talent to do all the things that he wants. The things they did in Minnesota with guys like Harrison Smith and Anthony Barr. He feels like they have that level of talent. Well, if they do, I think Gannon's positivity will change if we find out that the roster wasn't the real problem. Think about that for a minute. This is all on Gannon. All right? This is all on him to figure it out. He has the keys to the kingdom. He's been given all of the assets. He's been given all the players. On paper, yes, the team is better. You upgraded at corner. You have better depth at safety. You significantly upgraded talent at linebacker. You added a legitimate pass rusher in Hassan Reddick. You upgraded the defensive line. Howie Roseman in the Eagles front office gave Gannon everything he could ask for. But as far as I'm concerned, now the pressure's on him. The pressure is on him to put up or shut up with this talent. At some point, Gannon has to be the reason why this team wins this year. This team is not getting back to the postseason if the Eagles have an average defense out there. They're just not. Look, let me read to you what the Eagles were ranked last year. All right. The Eagles were 11th in passing yards allowed last year. But they were 20th in passing touchdowns allowed against them. The Philadelphia Eagles were 26 as a defense in turnovers forced. But they were 18th in the NFL in points against. This team spent an entire amount of resources to give Gannon a defense that should be top 10. But if we're in week 7, 8, and 9, and we're looking at the Eagles' schedule, and we're saying at that October 23rd bye week that you're not a top 10 defense and you're not at least top 12 in offense, I got questions. You play the Lions week 1. If the Lions score more than 20 points, every Eagle fan should be disgusted. When you play the Commanders on September 25th, that should not be a high-scoring game. When you play the Cowboys on October 16th in prime time, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys can't be putting 30 or more points on your defense. I don't think it's too much to ask to say that now is the time that I'm going to hold these coaches accountable. The players are here. The players are going to put in all the work, but the coaches got to put them in a position to be successful. Geoff Kerr from CBS Sports NFL Railroad joins us coming up in about 7 minutes from now. Over on the text board at 609-403-0973. Shane from Ocean City listening in chimes in. Says, hey, Josh, while I fully respect what you're saying with the Phillies, it is baseball. You have to get guys their work. They were up 8-2 in the ninth. Familia needed work. Did it work out? No. Did we get the win? Yes, we did. It's also July. We won't remember this game a week from now or a month from now. A win's a win. Move on to today's game versus the Pirates. That's from Shane in Ocean City. But here's the problem, Shane. Yes, you're right. If the Phillies make the postseason, we won't care about the game on July 28th. If they sweep the Pirates 4 straight games, we're not going to worry about Familia's horrible outing on Thursday night of the 4-game set. Shane in Ocean City, you're right about those things. But the reason why I'm exasperated and I'm annoyed is not because eventually, if things work out, I'm not going to remember this game. What bothers me is a trend, a series of events. This team keeps turning to Jarius Familia, and he keeps imploding on them. You say he needs work. I say he needs to be off this team. Before last night, here is Familia's last appearance. July 26th versus Atlanta. Wait, that was 2 days ago. He also pitched July 24th versus the Cubs. July 22nd versus the Cubs. So he has appeared in 3 games and pitched a total of 2 2/3 innings since the All-Star break. Did he really need work last night? Did he really need to come into that game? Did the Phillies really need to hand him the ball last night in that situation? You're telling me he was the best man available last night? out of that bullpen? Seriously. Of all the people, you're up 8-2. 8-2. And you went to Familia. Not Andrew Bellotti, who has also appeared in 3 games since the All-Star break. Did you go to him? What about Nick Nelson? Nick Nelson also has 3 appearances since the All-Star break. So why did Familia need work over those guys? Shane Ocean City, you're absolutely right. If the Phillies win out, we won't care about this game. That's still an if. All right, we'll dig deeper into the NFL and the Eagles coming up on the other side. And, of course, your text throughout the show, 609-403-0973 on the text board like Shane in Ocean City. Or you could DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app like Joe in Ocean City and Geoff in Ocean City. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a happy hour Friday. Yeah, you're right. Geoff in Ocean City. I need to cool down. Get my blood pressure down. This is 97.3 ESPN.
Your official station for Summer at the Shore.
There goes the runner. The pitch is a little high. Throw to second. Out at second. Oh, JT Realmuto with an absolute laser down to second to get Arenado.
97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Sweet, juicy Jersey Fresh peaches and nectarines are now in season. I'm Secretary of Ag Doug Fisher reminding you to ask for our fabulous Jersey Fresh peaches today at your favorite market. Want the best? Ask for local Jersey Fresh produce.
Traffic.
Right.
This wagon commute is killing me. You mind if I turn on your old radio?
Oh, this song again. I swear they play the same 3 chants on every station.
At this rate, it's going to take a fortnight to get to work.
Well, just be glad you don't need to fill up. I mean, have you seen the price of hay?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout history, people have always hated to commute. That's why Monster lets you search work from home jobs. Find your job at monster.com or download the app.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his 4th. But you know what they say, 4th time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Hon, look, it's heartburn. How did he know we were at the beach?
No clue, but he's not ruining our vacation. I packed Prilosec OTC. With just 1 pill in the morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production that can cause frequent heartburn, so we can enjoy ourselves.
Speaking of, time for our luau.
Aloha heartburn.
1 pill, 24 hours, 0 heartburn with Prilosec OTC.
It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and reduce friction and wear. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $33.99. Try Syntec today, exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-780-7070. That's 1-800-780-7070. 1-800-780-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the summer fun sale July 29th through August 8th and get 35% off paints and stains with prices starting at $27.29. That means 35% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 35% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your local Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
With GMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet. Because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. Listen, I hear you, Geoff in Ocean City, Shane in Ocean City. Apparently everyone in Ocean City wants me to calm down about the Phillies. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to transition to the NFL. Geoff Kerr from CBS Sports joining us here to get into the latest with the Eagles and around the NFL. As Geoff, it has certainly been an interesting week so far, shall I call it, in the NFL. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. I see Eagles Twitter is ready to bench Miles Sanders because they rate players on first and second team in the third day of training camp. I can't take it anymore. I love training camp. I hate people who tweet about training camp. I said it. And I'll be doing that tomorrow, by the way. So I'll be one of those people.
Well, the best part is you go through your feed, one person will have a video of Jalen Hurts throwing an interception. The next tweet will have a video of Jalen Hurts throwing a touchdown, and they both have completely opposite takes on Jalen Hurts.
You know, it's funny. Like, I try not to relate professional sports to what I do because I do still play competitive sports. But again, they're just like us, though, right, Josh? So if I'm working on a shot, I'm not actually trying to make it every time. I'm working on trying to make it every time, but it's your form, it's your release. Same with bowling. I'm always working on my release in bowling. If I shoot a 150 in practice, it shouldn't be reported, but it is. It's ridiculous. Why would you take training camp practice stats to heart? I don't get it. I'll never understand the infatuation with every little detail going on during practice. You know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow? Watching and observing and enjoying myself.
Well, with that being said, a couple things I want to hit on with the Eagles before we get to the rest of the NFL, Geoff. First of all, is there too much positive vibes coming from the Eagles about Jalen Hurts? Are they getting to the point where they're almost having to overcompensate for the minority of noise out there?
It does seem like it, doesn't it? Like, I had no problem with A.J. Brown sticking up for him. I have no problem with his teammate. Like, Devonta's just going to. They were former college teammates. A.J. Brown, they're best friends. Fine. They're the guy who's giving them their bag. So, I have no problem with that. You don't hear too much, though, from people outside of Nick Sirianni, though, do you? Like, if you really want to, I really want to know what Howie Roseman thinks, but I don't think we're ever going to get it. And I think the Eagles are smart by this. Wait and see. Let's see how he does this year, and then we'll boast him up. Nick Sirianni's going to do that already. I just think it's not that they need to cover for Jalen Hurts. I just feel like Jalen Hurts is the guy that he can take care of his own battles, he can fight his own battles, but he's got his lackeys around to make sure, hey, you ain't going within 100 feet of this guy.
What is your take on the people who are freaking out, like certain people asking stupid questions to Jonathan Gannon, like with the initials HE, about how they're not practicing enough? What are your thoughts on the people who are freaking out about that stuff?
I hope they realize no one else can do this either, right? It's not like they have a choice here. They can't go past an hour and a half. I'm pretty sure it's an hour and a half. I just wrote a story about the Indianapolis Colts. Their practices are going really, really quick. And Frank Reich admitted, he goes, do I want it to be this short? Well, no, but Matt Ryan is pretty much making this happen because he has such command of the offense and he wants everything to go super fast. And he said, and that's kind of like the way we want to build this offense. So, yeah, so we have been getting done in an hour 15 instead of an hour 25 like I planned, or an hour 10 and 7 because of him. And I think that's what all coaches are trying to do, right? You're trying to get as much information you can in the allotted time you're given. And, yeah, I just don't get this city. Don't they read the CBA? Like, I feel like as an NFL beat writer, I have to know every intricacy about the league. Everybody made such a big deal about the helmet things today. I'm like, guys, this has been like 40 years old now. Like,
right.
They're wearing those pads. Like, this has been a thing. Yeah, they look goofy. They look stupid. And this is where I give the beat writers a ton of credit. I'm glad they asked Jason Kelsey. I'm glad they asked Lane Johnson and those guys because they should. That's their job, and they're very good at that. But I feel like some people make too big of a deal out of, like you said, the little intricacies. Like, the Eagles can't practice longer than an hour and a half. Why do you feel they need to practice 3 hours? Are you that afraid they're going to start 2-5 again with that schedule? That ain't the reason why they started out slow last year.
Well, it's also the fact that, what doesn't get talked about enough is this is what the Rams do. Ted Rath is from the Rams organization. He's now in the Eagles organization. And Sirianni, from what I understand, from what I've heard and read, the idea is, how do we cut down the soft tissue injuries? We don't go crazy in training camp. That's what the quote-unquote science says. So they're trying to be like, look, we don't want Miles Sanders to pull his hamstring 5 times again this year. We want Miles Sanders on the field.
What happened with Tampa Bay and Ryan Jensen? Do you want that? Micah Hyde and the Buffalo Bills? No. And like the person to put in, Eagles didn't get hurt a lot last year. That's probably why they went 9-8. They didn't get hurt last year. And I'm sure a lot of teams would like to have that issue. And yeah, you're right. That's what the Rams are doing. It's funny. Everybody loved Andy Reid's camps in this city, but they hated his coaching. But that's how he coaches. Some people are old school like Reid who have been doing this since the 90s, and the modern way is McVay. Kyle Shanahan, he's the one who doesn't really go deep in the practice. It's Matt LaFleur. He's another one. But you're right. It's the whole Ted Raft thing. It's the Rams. And that's what you want to do now. Like, I have no problem with how long practices are. I mean, my biggest issue is with practices, and this is just me being old school. I don't think they go in pads enough, but that's the CBA. That's the NFLPA. That has nothing to do with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sure Nick Sirianni wanted to. They'd be practicing in pads every day, but he can't do that.
All right, Geoff, there's some other things around the NFL. You mentioned Ryan Jensen down in Tampa. Looks like he's out for the season. Now, this is now the third starter from last year's offensive line out in Tampa. You think Brady's starting to regret coming back now?
Well, he did get Shaq Mason, so it's not like they're really good at tackle, obviously, with Tristan Wirfs and Donovan Smith. But yeah, I don't think it's ideal that Tom Brady thought he was going to lose his Pro Bowl center. And when he did come back, you got to remember Alex Kaplan was already out the door. So I don't think there's any regrets yet. Maybe if he gets hit about 50 times this year, he might feel the regret. But I don't think Tom Brady's going to regret anything other than a really good statistical year and a deep playoff run, which Tampa Bay could still do. I mean, missing Ryan Jensen's huge, but let's not kid ourselves. This team's talented, Josh. It's very talented. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's not like there aren't any viable replacements. Like J.C. Treader, for some reason, is still in the market. Maybe the Bucs go that route.
I mean, what is J.C. Treader? Does he even want to play football anymore? I mean, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, maybe he'll want to go play with the Bucs. Maybe that's what he's waiting for. But you're right. It's maybe make a trade. I don't know. Here's the thing with Tom Brady. If Tom Brady had his way, Jason Kelce would be on the Bucs today. But that's not going to happen. So, not worried about it.
I got you. I got to ask you about the Kyler Murray situation. So for those who don't fully understand the etymology of this, a week ago, we found out there was a independent study clause in his contract. By the way, he signed that contract. So he knew this was in the contract. Then people are talking about it. Then Kyler Murray comes out and has a 4-minute off-the-cuff, no teleprompter, no script thing about how it's disrespectful to him, people saying he doesn't study. Then the Cardinals decide, we're going to take the clause out of your contract so people stop talking about it, which is only going to make us talk about it even more, because why are we taking it out of the contract now, Geoff?
Guess what? It was fading anyway. Like, that story was fading. Kyler Murray kind of ended it yesterday by saying how disrespectful it was. And we all signed it with the Cardinals. Well, you signed the contract. Didn't you read the contract? Or did you read 230,000,000,000? That's what you read. And the Cardinals could have just said, too bad. But again, it might be Kyler Murray, from what I heard, it might have been Mike Florio who reported this because he's really good with the agent talk. But Kyler Murray decided to switch agents or something like that, or he was threatening to do that. Well, if he switches agents, then his agent don't get any of this contract. So maybe he would have fought for another one. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't know. But you're right. This is all going away. It was just Kyler Murray whining about something that he didn't read, essentially, and adding to the problems. And it went from, why did the Cardinals sign this guy to this money, to why did the Cardinals give this guy everything he wants? And look, the damage is done. I would have just kept it in there. It leaked. So what? Someone wanted that out, whether it was Murray's agent or someone in the Cardinals organization or someone who don't like Steve Keim. Someone wanted that out there. And if I was the Cardinals, I would have just said, tough luck, man.
I think the explanation for why it was in there also is interesting, because I don't know if you heard Joe Klatt. He was on the on Daniel Jeremiah's podcast, and he basically said the same thing that I've heard other people say, which is apparently the reason why there was an independent study clause is because when Kyler Murray got to Oklahoma, they found out very quickly that because he had so much of his focus on baseball previously, he never really knew about this idea of studying independently.
Yeah, I mean, it is true, though, because he was a really good, I mean, he was 9th overall pick in the draft. So,
right.
Probably when everybody was watching independent film, Kyler Murray's hitting baseballs for a living. Not sure what he wanted to do with his life. Do I take the guaranteed money? Do I try to be an Oakland Athletic? Or all of a sudden he has a chance to be number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft? And clearly, money-wise, he made the right decision. But you're right. I talked to him his second year in the league, and he loves to play video games. That's not a secret. I think people make a little too much of the New York Times quote. I just think he does things. He beats the toe of his own drum, and it's just not, like we said, we don't have to worry about Jalen Hurts watching film. You don't have to worry about Peyton Manning watching film. Maybe the Cardinals felt they had to. Maybe they felt he was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare too much. I don't know. But I mean, the guy's right. You just don't be as good as he is in the NFL without doing something. Because if you don't do anything, he's a bust. He's not even on the Cardinals anymore. He's out of the league. He obviously does stuff. It's just, I think he's one of those guys. The people on Twitter that always say they're grinding and doing stuff? I feel like he's the guy that doesn't need to say it. He just does it. But unfortunately, someone is out to get him in that organization, and he had to defend his honor.
The other news that came out yesterday, Geoff Kerr, CBS Sports, joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on a Friday edition on 97.3 ESPN. DK Metcalf got paid. So how much of that guaranteed money is going to be translated in the Deebo Samuel's next contract?
I'll tell you what did he get? $30 million signing bonus? I forget how much.
$30 million guaranteed, yes.
Yeah, so Deebo's going to get paid, man. He's going to get paid. And here's the thing, though. I think DK Metcalf has been a more productive wide receiver than Deebo Samuel if you're looking at the totality of the deal. So I think they're both going to be around the same. And remember, it's not how much you deserve to get paid. It's when your time is up. And the Seahawks, I thought they did a tremendous job at this. I thought they paid DK Metcalf a lot of money for short term, and both are happy. DK gets to be a free agent at 27. And you know what? He might want to stay there in 3 years. I remember I interviewed him before last season, and he said, well, we'll see what happens with Russell Wilson before I decide. I'm just going to play out the year, and when my contract comes, it'll come. And he always was honest about that. He always kind of kept quiet, and I'm like, I think he kind of likes it there. I think he wants to stay there. Well, it turns out the Seahawks organization took care of him. Now, where his numbers get affected in the next 3 years because of who their quarterback is, who knows? But I think it's a really good deal for the Seahawks. I think it's a good deal for him. Like I said earlier, he's going to be a free agent at 27. He still has a chance to get a mega deal. Still has a chance to get another mega deal. It couldn't have worked out any better and for both parties. And really, that's how it should be. And if I'm the 49ers, I would probably do the same with Deebo Samuel. Just be like, hey, you know what? Here's a ton of money. Go nuts. We're going to use you for 3 years. You can do what you want then.
Doesn't it also feel like this might be hush money for DK Metcalf? Be like, hey, man, we're not going to be good this year, so just shut up and take your money.
He did all the right things, too, really. In terms of a hold-in, he showed up, just said, hey, I'm not practicing, but let's get this thing done. And he only missed like a practice. I don't even know if he missed 2 practices. But I think he was practicing yesterday. So, yeah, by the way, speaking of people who are due for quarterbacks, there's a certain quarterback on the Baltimore Ravens that is practicing. He's doing everything you're supposed to do and what we want to see you do. Says all the right things, and he still hasn't gotten his money. Lamar Jackson. By the way, his Jesus quote that might go on the wall back here. That is a beautiful quote. You heard that, right?
I didn't hear it. I saw it. Yes.
Oh my God! I was dying. I was on the Zoom conference yesterday. I'm like, don't laugh. Please don't laugh. Please don't laugh. He's gonna hear you laugh. Oh my God! It's Lamar is something else, man. I'll tell you what. He don't say much, but he says a lot when he says it.
I just like the fact that when I read the quote, my favorite part of it was when he says, so I don't really worry about it. Like he says it, and I don't really, it's just like he says it, and then he acts like what he said was no big deal.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever. Like, you remember a couple of years ago he was playing like flag football on the beach and people were like flipping out?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's July. Who cares? I'm sure he's not the only player in NFL history to play flag football on the beach, but he does have some memorable quotes, but he says all the right things. They're not controversial. You're kind of just like, man, just pay the guy. Like it's getting bad for Baltimore's a first-class organization. I know Lamar's betting on himself here, but if I'm Baltimore, I'm going to write to him and say, what, dude, here's $230 million guaranteed. This is what Deshaun Watson got. Take it or leave it.
My favorite part of the whole thing at the end of the day, Geoff, is all the people on Twitter now who are saying breaking news, Lamar is not Jesus. Like that's That's the best part.
I don't think any of us are Jesus. It's, I always used to joke. So I went to Catholic school, John. I always used to joke, like, and my dad would say this with me. You're such a believer in Jesus. And I said, yeah. And, my dad was I'll say he's Protestant, but he goes, what if Jesus walked down the street right now? Would you think it's him? I was like 8. And I'm like, probably not. Like, I remember Philly Jesus. So I'm like, so I think we can say Lamar's not, but he does play like him some days on Sundays. It's just one of those funny stories that always comes up. I'm like, oh my God.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up. Geoff Kerr, CBS Sports, at Geoff Kerr, CBS on Twitter. He'll be back again next week when Mike Gill is back behind this microphone. Geoff, appreciate your flexibility working with me this week. Enjoy training camp and whatever other crazy news comes up over the weekend in the NFL, because we always know it's coming.
I'll be in Canton next week. It's sort of a vacation and it's sort of not. So my dad, I promised him I'd take him to Vermeil getting inducted. So we're doing
nice.
Never been to the Hall of Fame game. We got tickets to the Gold Jack and Shriven Ceremony, which is awesome because I've already talked to a couple of Hall of Famers and a couple future Hall of Famers that are going to be there, and I'm going to do interviews for CBS, even though I'm on vacation. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun weekend, and I'm excited to see Dick. I'm excited to talk to Dick. Last time I talked to him, I think, was when I was covering his grandson playing basketball at Westchester Henderson. It's been a while.
Have you had the Vermeil wine?
I've never had the wine. No, I gotta try it. I'm a wine guy, but I feel like that's something I got. Last time I talked to Dick Vermeil, I was just talking to him about his career, about the Eagles, and then all of a sudden it went on like a football tangent for like 30 minutes. I'm like, Dick, I got the game in 5 minutes. Like, don't you want to watch your grandson?
Geoff, take care, my friend.
Yeah, see you, Josh.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Yeah, Dick Vermeil, part of the Hall of Fame class that is going in next weekend. And you can hear the Hall of Fame game right here on 97.3 ESPN FM, your home for Monday Night Football, Thursday Football, Sunday Football, Eagles every week, and more here in South Jersey. We got all your football covered. 97.3 ESPN FM.
When you need live sports play-by-play.
Forget it. Out of here. Reese Hoskins will touch them all over that right center field wall.
And the best sports talk in South Jersey. There's only one place to go. 97.3 ESPN.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. SpringfieldMitsu.com.
This summer, escape to the Jersey Cape, a place that's real and really charming. Come relax, really relax on our beaches, or maybe just sit on a porch and daydream. Explore our trails, discover our natural areas, or go camping, walk the boardwalk, visit a museum or a lighthouse, experience our eclectic dining, or try your hand at fishing and crabbing. Sample our homegrown fruits and vegetables, local wines, brews, and spirits, or participate in our outdoor activities, special events, and live entertainment found beyond our world-famous beaches. Visit the Free County Park and Zoo for a trip on the wild side. Enjoy authentic experiences where the arts easily connect to nature. The food comes directly from the sea or soil, and the outdoors go from birding to playing in the surf. Stay at a modern motel or a quaint bed and breakfast inn. Escape the everyday and pursue your passions at the Jersey Cape. It's authentically charming and sincerely yours. Escape to thejerseycape.com. Sponsored by Cape May County Tourism.
Progressive presents Married to Your Home.
I'm disgusting.
Oh, House, don't say that.
You could live someplace so much better than me.
That's not true.
Oh, yeah? Look at these uneven stairs. Gross.
House, you know I don't care.
Ugh, and the squeaky door hinge.
Well, I think it's cute.
No matter how much you already love your house, you'll love it more knowing you could save big bundling your home and auto with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Man, I slept.
New ZzzQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep is made for people who are tired of being tired.
I've never slept like this before. I've never woken up like this before.
A melatonin-free sleep aid made with a botanical blend that contains clinically studied and effective valerian root, hops, and passion flower, shown to help promote better restorative sleep. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep. Sleep this good. Feel this good. Available at retailers near you.
South Jersey has been traveling with Philly sports trips for years. Fans have been begging for a South Jersey bus pickup spot, and it's finally happening for their bus trip to the Washington game in September. Come and join over 400 fans already signed up for the best bus trip and tailgate of the season with award-winning food, great drinks, and more. Come say hi to Carson and help get them to their goal of 1,000 fans to FedEx. Philly Sports Trips partnered with the famous Ernest & Sons Meat Market in Brigantine, and they're ready to make this season's trips the best yet.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Matt Blatt Kia wants to give you independence. Yes, independence. Like freedom from down payments, freedom from payments for 3 months, and freedom from your old car. Plus, if you have a job and clear $350 per week, Matt Blatt Kia wants to approve you today on any brand new Kia or pre-owned vehicle in stock, or one of hundreds of new 2023 Kia models en route, all with zero down and zero payments for 90 days. So bring any trade in any condition. Even if you're stuck in a loan or lease, Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released. Get cash for your car today, even if you don't buy a car from us. But why wouldn't you buy a new Kia? Because you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Unapproved credit plus applicable taxes and fees. See dealer for details. Not all will qualify. Deferred payment through TFCU. Interest accrues from date of sale. Offers don't combine. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for complete details. Expires 8/7/22. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 and Toms River.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
2 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by American Airlines, the Atlantic City International Airport, ACY. Now is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. Book your next trip today at AA.com. Still to come, Ryan Rothstein. He's the host of the Philadelphia CityCast, running for the 3 o'clock hour. Of course, Pete Thompson, happy hour Friday with the PT at 5 p.m. I do want to note that a couple things here. So one of the things we're keeping an eye on this weekend, obviously, is going to be with the Phillies going out with the deadline. Well, in local news, a pretty cool little story. Chase Petty from Mainland has been promoted by the Reds. So while the Phillies are waiting around to figure out what they're doing at the trade deadline, it's cool to see that Chase Petty, local guy, promoted. He was elevated from Dayton to he's elevated to Dayton. That's the high A affiliate for the Reds. So just for comparison, that's the equivalent of Lakewood for the Phillies. So a very cool story for him. 19 years old. Chase Petty already moving up the Reds organization. So even though we're waiting for the Phillies to figure out what they're doing at the deadline, it's cool to see some other things in the works around baseball. All right, coming up next, We'll talk Eagles. We'll talk Phillies. Ryan Rothstein, host of Philadelphia CityCast here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget Geoff Mosher, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Bird podcast. And all of you out there, you can join the conversation. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill on a happy hour Friday.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, three-time All-Big Ten linebacker Brad Quast joins me in the studio. We'll look at the Eagles as they start training camp and the Phillies in Pittsburgh. The sportsbook consigliere Dave Sherapan checks in from Vegas with his insights on the NFL and Major League Baseball. Hour 2, it's the Beach Patrol Report brought to you by the Groundhogs Moving Company. We'll have the results of the 51st annual Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races and talk with the race director from the Cape May Point Beach Patrol, Kristen Morby. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
School's out, but we are rewriting the math. 0 plus 0 equals one heck of a great deal at Matt Blatt Nissan. That's right, 0 down, 0 payments for 3 full months, and 0 mistaking. That only Matt Blatt Nissan has brand new 2022 Nissan Armadas discounted $5,000 off, plus buy with peace of mind with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Don't see your Matt Blatt Nissan on the lot? Don't worry, you could be driving it home tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. With 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 1.9% financing. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $479 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 8/7/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Dirty exterior? Don't scrub it. Wet it and forget it. Wet and Forget, the easy outdoor cleaner. Wet and Forget works overtime with Mother Nature to eliminate unsightly black and green stains on the exterior of your home with no scrubbing, power washing, or bleach. Use Wet and Forget on all your outdoor surfaces, including decks, siding, roofs, and patios. Wet and Forget is available as a concentrate or extreme reach hose end. Purchase Wet and Forget in-store or online at Lowe's, Menards, Ace, or Walmart.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wendy's new Strawberry Frosty is here, so check your watch. Is it Frosty time yet? It probably is. The hour hand would be on, I'm feeling snacky. And the minute hand would be on, relaxing with a rich, creamy strawberry Frosty on a summer day, just digging into that smooth, chilly deliciousness and vibing. You know, depending on what kind of watch you have. When it's time for Frosty time, choose wisely. Choose Wendy's Frosty and Classic Chocolate or New Strawberry.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
O'Reilly. Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. Beat the heat before you hit the road with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant or buying that new outfit from a local boutique. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local businesses. Maurice Piers, For tickets and passes, visit MauricePiers.com. Filling Marble and Tile Outlet, Philadelphia Avenue and Route 30 in Egg Harbor City. FillingMarble.com. Piccalilli Inn on Route 206 in Chemong. Home of South Jersey's best wings. Made Anew Home Remodeling. Make your dreams a reality. MadeAnewHomeRemodeling.com. Dr. Lyle M. Back for everything skincare to cosmetic surgery. Go to ILoveLyleBack.com. Perfect Basement. Schedule a free inspection at PerfectBasement.com. First Bank of Sea Isle City, Cape May County's community bank. Thank you for supporting your local businesses from Town Square Media, South Jersey.
A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit. He stumbles. He's down.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a happy hour Friday here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Phillies continue their series with the Pirates this weekend. Eagles are in training camp. Phil's right. I have calmed down from my fire and brimstone from the first hour about the situation with Jurius Familia. Or maybe Ryan Rothstein will get me more angry about it all over again, and we'll just circle the wagons on that. Ryan Rothstein, he's the host of the Philadelphia CityCast. Despite the Phillies almost losing last night, his latest bet still hit. So we'll get into all of that and more with Ryan as we are counting down to the trade deadline. We are counting down the weeks to the start of the NFL season. All that and more here on 97.3 ESPN as Ryan joins us here on the Sports Bash. Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. So, I got to get it out of the way. I am very unhappy still about last night's Phillies game. I don't understand at what point did Rob Thompson still think he was convincing himself that Familia was going to work his way out of a game that they almost lost, because frankly, he shouldn't even have been in there in the first place.
Yeah, it's my goodness. Can you even imagine if they lost that game? Right? I mean, I'm almost just a big exhale. Like, thank bleep, bleep, bleep. The Phillies just figured out a way to hang on, right? I mean, because they need to take 3 or 4 here at minimum. I mean, I would really love to see all 4, but my goodness, at least they hung on. But that was a disaster at the end. I agree.
Did you happen to see the tweet from the fake Phillies account that tricked some people about Familia?
No, what was it?
So somebody, and I don't remember the Twitter handle off the top of my head, but basically used the official Phillies logo, and it looked like an official report saying that Familia was DFA'd and they called back up Mark Appel. Now it was fake, it wasn't real, but it was very real looking, very official looking, and it tricked some people on social media, which was funny.
Always enjoy that. People get tricked pretty easily. Like some of the other fake NBA ones, they're always classic.
Yeah, it's kind of at a point now in today's world where when things pop up on social media, I, as a general principle, just don't trust it, and that's the easier way than getting tricked.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could click and go to the profile for 5 seconds, but your route works too. Either way, yes.
I'm just not a very trusting individual as a general principle. It's safer that way.
That's fine. How about a lighter, funnier topic? Did you see when the score is 0-0 that it spells poop?
What?
The Phillies logo.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Then it has another 0. And then it has the Pirates logo. That's the stuff, the content I look for.
That's what you came out with last night.
Yes, that's my takeaway from the game. It was poop.
Well, I mean, the ninth inning was certainly.
Yes. But weren't we due for a late game bullpen scare?
I guess you were, but like I just keep falling back on, and I just can't get around this. Whose idea was it for Familia to still be pitching on this team? Like, people are trying to say, well, they're trying to get him some innings, but he's pitched 3 times since the All-Star break. It's not like he's not pitched at all in recent weeks. I don't.
So they're trying to trade him, maybe?
Well, you're not trading him now.
Well, A for effort, maybe.
Is that what we're doing? A for effort?
F for execution.
I just don't understand. Like, is this, like, who do we blame for this? Is this Rob Thompson keeping him in too long? Is this Dombrowski for signing him in the first place? Like, how do we direct our frustrations? This team has turned into a 2-step forward, 1-step back proposition.
Well, I can get on board with that conversation. Listen, last night, like, I don't care. Like, I care, but the bullpen has been a pleasant surprise pretty much consistently this season, Josh. I know there was probably nowhere to go but up, from the last couple of seasons. But listen, they got the win. It was ugly. We can question who do we blame, but just move forward. My bigger thing is sort of what you alluded to, and it's not really directed to last night in particular. It is, but it isn't. It's just, we talked about this on Wednesday, I believe. We maybe even talked about it Monday a little bit. Just the seesaw of mediocrity that this team has taken us on for the past decade, right? And we saw it last year. We saw it the year prior. They take 2 steps forward, and as you mentioned, they take 1 back, or they take 2 forward, and then they take 3 back, then they take 2 forward, then they take 1 back. It's just, no matter the sample size, they always figure out a way to stay right around 500, right? That's just been the frustration surrounding this franchise.
It really does get exasperating because the team has been in the postseason in 10 years. The Orioles have been in the playoffs more recently than the Phillies have. Just think about that for a minute. The Orioles have been a garbage franchise for the last few years, but they were in the postseason, 2016, and the Phillies haven't been back for a decade. Like, that's where, for me, Ryan, the conversation is just like, you just want to take your hand and just slam it into your face, because it's like, why can't this organization get out of its own way? Like, we were told Dombrowski's a baseball guy. You got to fire Girardi. All right, we fired Girardi. Like, at what point does it all pay off?
It's a good question. That's why there's a lot of, the fan base is lacking patience. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of anxiety. People are tense. People are annoyed, and people just want to see this team in the damn playoffs. You look at, let's look at the Seattle Mariners, who right now own the second AL wildcard spot. They're a half game up above the Tampa Bay Rays, who are in the third and final wildcard spot. I bring up Seattle because they own the longest playoff drought in all of Major League Baseball. The last time they were in the playoffs was 2002. It looks like, who knows, a lot of baseball left, but for now, looks like Seattle's going to figure out a way to get into the playoffs. What if the Phillies end up falling short? Well, then they're going to be quite literally the team with the longest playoff drought in all of baseball. So that it's not a spot you want to have.
Do you feel like in some way or another that if the Phillies don't make the playoffs this year, that is going to be how do we rate that? Like, is that more of a dumpster fire than the Flyers are right now? Is that, people starting to treat the Phillies like they treat the Sixers with the second round of the playoffs? Like, what do you do if the Phillies don't make the playoffs?
I'll take it one further and then answer that question. Even if they make the playoffs, right? Like, unless this team wins a playoff round, like, unless they get to the Final Four or come out of the NL somehow, which I don't think either of us predict happening, right? Like, even if they get into the playoffs and lose in the wild card round, what do we have here, right? Like, at least we will have, all right, they ended the drought, but they're spending money at an alarming rate. They have Bryce Harper, they have JT Realmuto, they have Wheeler. Like, what do they do? And I've talked about this a lot over the past couple of years. Like, pretty good is the worst purgatory to be in. Like, in today's modern era of professional sports, regardless of the sport, you either want to be a championship contender or you want to be full-blown rebuild. We suck. If there's anything in between, if you're stuck in this purgatory of we're going to make the playoffs, maybe we can get past the first round and that's our ceiling. What do you have? Right? You just have frustration because there's no hope. There's no excitement. You're not good enough to win. And you don't have an exciting future coming up. That's what you at least can have with a rebuild. So to answer your question, if they don't even make it, my goodness, they are in a really bad spot. At least with the Flyers, you say, all right, they're a dumpster fire. You question the direction, which is alarming, but you say, maybe they just need to hit the reset button in a year or two. We're closer to that than we are with the Phillies and Sixers. So I'm concerned right now with this franchise for sure.
What can Dave Dombrowski do? Ryan Rothstein, host of the Philadelphia CityCast, joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM. What can Dave Dombrowski do at the deadline to change your mind, if anything?
Can he get Ohtani or Juan Soto?
No.
Then nothing. I mean, listen, I'll get excited if he adds an arm. If he adds a fourth or fifth arm in your rotation, then you feel better about this team punching their ticket to the playoffs for that third wild card spot. But back to my point a minute ago, unless he really surprises us all here with a big move, and I kid with Soto and Ohtani, but even Castillo, like a bigger name that's on the market, unless he surprises us with that, what's really going to excite us out there? Is there anything for you that if Dombrowski does, you say, all right, man, you know what? I have high hopes. This thing's looking up.
If they somehow surprised us and walked away with Luis Castillo, then yes.
Okay. So
because the thing is, to me, Castillo, he's a guy that is probably the best guy available, but he's the guy who's being talked about the least before the deadline. And part of it is because he's really only in a club control for one more year. He's arbitration available next year, and then the year after he's a free agent. So, I'm looking at him, and to me, he's the best pitcher out there who could be traded, but he's not being talked about a lot because in a market, as you mentioned, with Juan Soto out there, it feels like people are not talking about the pitching. And considering the A's are asking for, a stupid amount for Frankie Montas, and Montas, I don't even think is as good as Castillo. The market's a weird thing. Benintendi got acquired for basically the Yankees 20th guys. You know what I mean? In their minor league system. And he can't even play in Toronto in September. So, the market is in a weird position. I know Philly fans lose their mind because the Mets have made 2 trades already for 2 rando dudes to fill out their roster. So it's for the Phillies, you want to see them do more than the Mets, but they can't get Soto and Ohtani. So it's I already am resigning myself to the fact that it might not be special.
Might not be. I think it's safe to say it's not going to be special. Right.
But all right, fine.
I think the question to listeners and the fan base as a whole is pretty much the same question you posed, the topic we're discussing, which is, are you good with this franchise right now? Are you just okay with this team punching their ticket to the playoffs and then not doing anything with said ticket, right? Like, what is this offseason going to look like for the Phillies, assuming they're even able to do that, which should not be assumed?
Well, the Phillies offseason to me, first of all, depends on if they make the postseason or not, right? So, like, if you make
but Josh, what if they do? What if they do and don't go anywhere?
Well, if they do, at least it's a sign that what they've done so far is at least put them in the right direction.
Yeah, but this is where I disagree with that slightly. Let's say they finish a half game, 1 game, or 2 games out. That half a game or a game to you then is the difference of right direction or wrong direction? Like, to me, either way, my point is if they get there and beat out the Cardinals by a half a game or due to the tiebreaker and then get the brakes beat off them and their season's over, we're sitting here saying it's the right direction compared to falling a half game short. Like, I just don't see much of a difference.
Well, to me, if you make the playoffs, Ryan, it's at least a signal that, okay, what we did last offseason and at the trade deadline and during the season added to something positive. Now, what happens in the playoffs themselves? I mean, anything could happen. A guy has a bad day. A couple guys go cold in the postseason. The 3-game series is not very forgiving.
No, it's not, which makes it exciting and scary.
Right, exactly. So to me, at least if you make the playoffs, then you're like, all right, well, you know what? At least you showed me that you have the ability to, get back there. Now it's a matter of, can you take that next step? If you don't make the playoffs, then it turns into, we're back to 2 years ago where it was they expanded the postseason and you still couldn't make the playoffs. You guys are a bunch of bums. Maybe you do need to blow it up kind of thing. So it's like, whereas if you make the playoffs, then you can say, okay, we didn't win the World Series, but now we know we got to do more to, get further kind of thing. That's at least how I look at it.
No, it's fair. It's fair. I get that. And now we're really looking ahead, but we're sort of stumbled upon it. What can they do? Right? Let's say it's...
I'll tell you what they can do. They can trade JT Realmuto. They got 3 catchers in the minor leagues right now.
Yeah, but would they do that? Right? Like, when I say what can they do, it has to be under the assumption that it's also something that they would actually do.
Part of the problem I'm running into, Ryan, is, to me, JT Realmuto is the only guy who is on the roster now that is tradable in the offseason because you have something to fill in the void when he's gone. The problem is he's got 3 years left on that contract, and who really wants the trade for him? Because on the flip side, you look at the Phillies right now and you realize that they don't have a ton of guys they can move anyway. For a team that is 4th in baseball in payroll.
Yeah.
Yes, the Phillies are 4th in baseball in payroll behind the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees. They don't exactly have tradable assets because let's say you trade Hoskins before he can hit free agency, right? Like, let's say you're like, hey, we got to move this guy. He's under team control for 1 more year. Let's trade him out of here. Well, it's not like Derek Hall has shown you that he's the next Ryan Howard and you're getting rid of Jim Thome. Like, so then what do? Do you move JT Realmuto to the first base and bring up, Rafael Marchand or Logan O'Hoppe? Like, what do you do if you trade Hoskins? Whereas the rest of the team, Gregorius is going to be a free agent. All right, he's gone. Stott's going to be shortstop, right? Do you try to go out and get another third baseman and tell Bohm he's the DH? Do you try to piece together trading somebody else? We know Herrera's going after this year, right? So, you start looking at the team after this year and you realize that half the guys that you don't want, they're going anyway.
Yeah, no, it's exactly right. And you mentioned the payroll, and that goes back to my point of the situation that the Phillies find themselves in. I mean, look at the teams that are ahead of the Phillies payroll wise, right? At least it's working out for them. right? The Phillies are spending like they're the Yankees, and they're producing far from it. So that's the concern. And what do we have to show for it?
Well, the comment that I heard was from people who know Dave Dombrowski is that Dave Dombrowski likes to sign stars. He likes to trade for stars. He, it reminded me of the Brett Brown star hunting comment. So it's like for Sixer fans, hearing that Dave Dombrowski likes stars might make you a little nervous, but it's part of his repertoire. It's also the reason why the Red Sox are doomed right now, because the Phillies, while they're in the playoff hunt, the Red Sox are starting to bottom out, and they're bottoming out because the Red Sox organization got tired of Dombrowski's star hunting, or whatever you want to call it, after the 2019 season, and they wanted to hit a reset button with their farm system, and neither strategy is working for them, and they won the World Series about, 4 years ago?
Yeah. Well, listen, they brought Dombrowski in knowing all of that, right? So doesn't mean that's a good thing. It just, they understand the direction that they committed themselves to going into. And they're in full-blown win now mode, which is why I'm concerned. And hopefully, they can go on a run here, right? Hopefully they can get into the playoffs and, maybe win a series or two. Like I would love to see that. That would give me some real hope, because we know what the offense can do potential wise. We need more from Nola, more of the same, I should say, more of the same from Wheeler. And hopefully they can just fine tune a few things, bring in a couple of decent pieces that could help them get over the hump. But 2 to 4 year conversation, as we've sort of discussed here casually, is a different one, I guess.
So if the playoffs ended today, the Phillies are in the final wild card spot, for those who are wondering. And the way it works this year is the top 2 teams get a bye for the first round. So it's the Dodgers and the Mets would be out, and the Phillies would play the Brewers in the first round. Now, the Phillies have already beaten the Brewers a few times this year, so that's not a crazy thought that they could beat the Brewers and get to the next round.
No, absolutely not. Listen, if the season ended today, I don't care who they would play. Like the fact is, in baseball, anything can happen for 2 or 3 days, right? Like a pitcher, an ace, the best pitcher on the planet, can have an off day. You can get to him in the first inning. You can get to the bullpen late, and that can swing a series in baseball. So it sounds obvious, Captain Obvious statements, but that's the beauty of it. So just get in, and then hopefully they can surprise us by actually doing something with that playoff ticket.
By the way, for those who might be wondering, the Phillies have a better run differential, runs scored versus runs allowed, than both the Brewers and the Padres, and both of them are expected to make the playoffs. So for as much as people like me are frustrated with the Phillies, they're not really that bad.
Yeah, they're also not really that good.
By the way, speaking of the payroll, so your top 10 payrolls in baseball, you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Dodgers number 1, Mets number 2, Yankees number 3, Phillies number 4. Now, as I read the rest of this list, stop me when something stands out to you, okay?
Okay.
Padres number 5, Red Sox number 6, White Sox number 7, Angels number 8, Braves number 9, Astros number 10.
I mean, the Angels are the only other team. Well, the only team, I believe, that's below 500. The Red Sox are 500.
Yeah, the Angels are their win percentage is 424 right now.
Right. So out of the 10 teams, top 10 teams payroll wise, Angels are the only team, I'm almost positive, below 500.
Correct.
So yeah, that stands out.
By the way, for anybody out there who is wondering, the lowest payrolls in baseball, your lowest payroll is the Baltimore Orioles, and the second lowest is the A's. The Orioles are above 500, and the A's have one of the worst records in baseball. So who knows?
But the Orioles are 50-49 with the lowest payroll in baseball. That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess the rebuild worked, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're above 500. So, I know they're in a division with the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Rays and even Toronto, but shoot, it's not a terrible spot to be in.
You're saying if you're an Orioles fan, you're excited.
Yeah, you should be really fired up. Yep.
When was the last time you went to a game at Camden Yards?
Probably high school when I was like 16, 17. I like that park.
I like it too. I was there, I think, I want to say maybe 2012, so like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Not bad.
What's the best park you've ever been to?
Oh, I haven't been to enough to actually have that conversation, but
well, even if you've been to 3, Phillies, Orioles, have you been to another?
No.
Okay. So which one do you like more, Phillies or Orioles?
I like Citizens Bank Park. I thought that that Citizens Bank, they took the best parts of Camden Yards and then put their own spin on it in Philadelphia. My only problem with Camden Yards is, number one, their parking situation is bizarre. And number two, I don't like the fact that they've kind of become one of these ballparks that just assumes you're here for Camden Yards, and it's like, you haven't done anything to make the place any like that much better since you built it. Whereas I feel like Citizens Bank Park is always like trying like new things. They might not always work, but it's like, hey, this year we got a new restaurant. Hey, this year we're doing this. And I feel like Baltimore is just like, we're Camden Yards. We're the best.
Yeah, screw Camden Yards. That's the takeaway from that.
He's Ryan Rothstein. He's the host of the Philadelphia CityCast. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Chelsea. Coming up next, we'll get into some NFL with Ryan as the Eagles are in training camp. And of course, depending on who you ask, some people thought me and Ryan had a great conversation the other day with the NFL. Some people say that Ryan roasted me. Some other people said some other things about it. We'll see how the next conversation goes.
Roasted you? Wow. Who said that?
The one guy, he said that you destroyed me when the one conversation. So
aggressive, but probably accurate.
Probably inaccurate, but 97.3 ESPN, more Sports Bash. Happy Hour Friday next.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's football at 4 every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. SpringfieldMitsu.com.
Sweet, juicy Jersey fresh peaches and nectarines are now in season. I'm Secretary of Ag Doug Fisher, reminding you to ask for our fabulous Jersey fresh peaches today at your favorite market. Want the best? Ask for local Jersey fresh produce.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward into art class.
A 4-foot replica of the Statue of Liberty using elbow macaroni?
With glue and art supplies from Staples.
By tomorrow.
Right now, 24-count Crayola crayons and Polly Pocket folders are just 50 cents each, and 1-inch binders are only $1.99. Everything on your list at amazing prices. Staples, we're not going back. We're going forward to school. Ends 8/27, in-store only, limit 30.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's thrift store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon light hits your floors, you can see everything, including dust?
So much dust.
And that poor dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air you and your family breathe.
Eesh.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day.
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. proud partner of the American Lung Association.
Do you hunt, fish, shoot, or just love the outdoors? How about guns, ammo, bait, tackle, or archery? Bucktails Outfitters is a fully loaded outdoor sporting goods store. Bucktails Outfitters buys and trades any gun, offering one of the best gunsmiths around. Want to build a custom firearm? Need to get set up for a day on the water? They'll help you get fully equipped. Located on Bears Head Road at Route 40 in Mays Landing. 609-829-2229 or bucktailsoutfitters.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation and discreet shipping if prescribed. Love your results or your money back. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Progressive presents Married to Your Home.
I'm such a screw up.
What? House? Why would you talk like that?
How are you even with a house without a walk-in closet?
Stop. You have more than enough storage.
Oh yeah, and the unfinished basement. Gross.
We'll finish it eventually. Together.
No matter how much you already love your house, you'll love it more knowing you could save big bundling your home and auto with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Matt Black Kia wants to give you independence. Yes, independence. Like freedom from down payments, freedom from payments for 3 months, and freedom from your old car. Plus, if you have a job and clear $350 per week, Matt Black Kia wants to approve you today on any brand new Kia or pre-owned vehicle in stock, or one of hundreds of new 2023 Kia models en route, all with zero down and zero payments for 90 days. So bring any trade in any condition, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Black Kia wants to get you released. Get cash for your car today, even if you don't buy a car from us. But why wouldn't you buy a new Kia? Because you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
On approved credit plus applicable taxes and fees. See dealer for details. Not all will qualify. Deferred payment through TFCU. Interest accrues from date of sale. Offers don't combine. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details. Expires 8/7/22. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 and Toms River.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
.333 on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM. 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank and CLC, being joined in studio by the one and only Ryan Rothstein. He is the host of the Philadelphia CityCast. Subscribe, give it a 5-star review, download it wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, whole 9 yards. I feel like there's more places to get podcasts than there should be, Ryan, but I got to tell you, I think people only use one of 3 things, right? You know, it's not like, you know, for all the ways people can consume content, they really only use like 3 things. It's like, you know, you see all the commercials for like Freevee and Crackle and Tubi, and you're like, nobody uses those streaming platforms. We're all watching Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime. You know what I mean? But like, you can advertise some other streaming platform, but I just keep saying Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play because I don't know anybody who uses anything else.
Yeah, I don't either. But hey, I guess those other platforms are somehow figuring out a way to, keep the lights on. So good for them. I don't know who's providing that, but nonetheless.
Yeah, good for them, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, all you care about is people are listening and giving you like 5-star reviews. So
Exactly. Damn right.
By the way, that's the smartest thing Spotify ever did was grow up and realize that they should allow people to review podcasts on their platform. Like they were trying to be like, we're not Apple. And one day they were like, we should probably comply. And it's like, well, no, you should, because that's what people want to do. People want to say, I like or dislike this podcast. That's the one thing Netflix gets right. They get right. They let you say, did you like this or did you not like this?
Yeah. I don't do that on Netflix. I probably should start.
Oh, I do that all the time because I realized very early on that Netflix pays very close attention with their algorithm to what you're watching. So like if you don't do that, they will suggest things that you don't want to watch. Whereas there's a lot of times I'll pop on Netflix, not planning to watch something, and Netflix would be like, based on your, watching preferences, here's this. I'll be like, oh, I'll watch that instead. Okay.
Have you ever written a review or left a review like Yelp or TripAdvisor?
I do the Google reviews.
You do?
Yes.
Are you big into them? Like, what was the last Google review that you wrote?
I would have to look at my account, but I
do
know
if you frequent an establishment and you're writing out the old paragraph review.
I am. I'm the guy. If I like a place, I will write a long review.
That's really nice of you. Usually it's the opposite.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of times I go on like searching for things, and like in a world where like you have the one turd who goes out there and he's like, oh, I hated the service here. And
that's all the reviews ever are, right? Like,
right. But then in
my old life.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. My previous career, I was in, hospitality, and I was in operations, and the company would obsess over reviews. Like if we had one bad review, like Ryan was the worst at the front desk, the world was ending. And it's like, dude, like 0.1% of our customers are leaving reviews, but it's scary how one bad review can negatively impact a business. So good for you for writing positive ones.
Yeah, because the thing is, there's a lot of times I go places and I'm like, I really like this place. I really like the food or whatever it may be. And like, I'll be like, because my phone will be like, would you like to review this place? Would you like to answer questions? And I'll be sitting at the bar, just be like, yeah, they have this. No, they have this. Yes, they have the handicap entrance. Yeah, they have the handy. Like I'm the guy who answers all those questions.
Hey, you're needed. You're needed. You're not the hero we thought we wanted, but you're needed.
That being said, I want to ask you about a little NFL stuff because so yesterday I was talking with Katie Mox. She's the host of Moxie's Bets. That's part of ESPN and Omaha Productions.
Okay.
So she's like, she has a betting podcast with them. And one of the things that I was talking with her about is the NFC East. And I was noticing that if you look at like the over-unders of like the win totals, right? Like most of the outlets had the Eagles either at 9 or 9.5. And the one thing her and I disagreed about was like, I'm going over. Not because I think the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl, but because I just think they won 9 games last year. The team is better this year. So they can win 10 games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's like a crazy idea to go out there. Now, she disagreed with me. She felt that the Eagles are a little overrated and that there's a lot of money coming in, especially the Northeast, for the Eagles, and the numbers getting inflated. Her favorite bet in the NFC East was Washington over 7.5. But I want to ask you, because I know you spend a lot of time talking about, betting and sports betting, your thoughts on the NFC East over-unders.
Yeah, well, I'll start with the Eagles win total. It's something I've talked about a good bit, especially recently on the Philadelphia CityCast. Eagles win total at Bet Rivers, which is that's my podcast is powered by Bet Rivers Sportsbook in PA.
Right,
set at 9.5, and my advice for what it's worth and just going through it, I'm staying away from that bet, right? So like there's a difference between, yes, the Eagles can win 10 games and, well, should I go bet it right now? I agree with you. Yes, the Eagles can absolutely win 10 games. They absolutely can get over the 9.5 win mark. But from the betting standpoint, I just don't love it at all. Unless it's priced appropriately, but at Bet Rivers, it was -140 last I checked for the over 9.5. So you're not getting a great value there. And I just can't look too much into, well, they won 9 games last year. So that means because they got better in the offseason, they're going to get to 10, right? Sometimes it's that simple, but oftentimes it's actually not. So I'm staying away from the Eagles win total. I'll tell you a play I like in the NFC East to take off my Eagles hat for a second and be objective. I actually like Washington to win the division at 5-1 because it's 5-1, right? Like you always try and find value in the betting market, particularly the futures market. And you hear that word value, and it is overused often from people, including myself. But I think Washington's, Washington can compete, man. And I talked about this with Geoff Kerr. I know you had him on earlier. He's on my newest episode of the CityCast. We talked about the division. This division is not as bad as some people are implying it to be. I think it's going to be competitive. I certainly can see Washington winning 8, 9, or 10 games. And I think 9 or 10 wins this season could actually win this division. So that's one play I like. But I know there's a lot more to discuss if we want to get into more win totals or odds for each team to win the division.
Well, I mean, we'll stay with Washington for a second. Look, I'm with you. I think they win more than the over-under. I know that a couple books still have them at 7.5. I see one book has them at 8. 2 books have them at 8.5. I wouldn't be surprised if they get 9 wins because people forget Washington has been trying to make the postseason with basically guys who are barely better than you and me at quarterback. Like, it's literally been like Taylor Heineke and Garrett Gilbert and Josh Johnson playing quarterback for the last few years. And you may not like Carson Wentz, the average Eagle fan, but Carson Wentz is better than all those dudes. So it's like, if Carson Wentz literally does what he did last year in Indianapolis with Washington, they're definitely a much more functional football team.
I agree. And just sticking on Washington for a second, at Bet Rivers, Washington to make the playoffs, +175. I also like that bet. Another cool offering at Bet Rivers, they give you division finishing position. So even for Washington to come in second place, it's priced at +310. I like that bet as well. Like you can put 100 on them to come in first and in second, and you're getting a return on your investment if they come in either first or second. So like there's a lot of options out there for making these futures plays.
Now, people know I'm a big fan of the touchdown to interception ratio stat. Carson
You always
Wentz,
did love a good ratio.
Listen, there's nothing doesn't better with the ratio, okay? Carson Wentz is at minimum +10 touchdown to interception ratio 3 different seasons, 2017, 2019, and last year. So when you think about it, if he literally can just go out there and do what he usually does, most of his career, he's averaged around 7 interceptions per season. If he just goes out there and goes 27-7, Washington is in the postseason basically.
I completely agree. And their defense, we assume, is going to be better than last year.
That's true, assuming because last year they were horrible for about 6 weeks. So
right. That's why I say that.
Now, I'm not trying to sound like an anti-Cowboys gang. I'm being realistic. Cowboys over-under is 10.5. I'm hitting the under all day long because this team did not replace Amari Cooper. They did not replace Randy Gregory. They made moderate, mediocre, that's nice kind of additions to their roster. But I'm worried about their offensive line. Tyron Smith can't stay healthy, keeps having back problems. Now Mike Trout back problems, like real serious back problems. So at some point, I'm just looking at the Cowboys and I'm like, you guys are just not the best talented roster in the division anymore.
I would agree. And listen, you look at what they did last year, which is not much. That's typically the MO of the Dallas Cowboys, but
Right.
they did win 12 games, right? So that's a really good regular season.
Yeah.
Right? And you mentioned some of the losses, on paper in the offseason. So they didn't get better. And it's tough to repeat a 12-win year, right? Like 12-5 is an impressive season. And what you do and do not do in the playoffs is a little bit of a different discussion. So I think they're going to take a step back because it's hard to repeat that type of performance unless you're the elite of the elite. Dallas never is. So I'm with you. I don't love the underplay. It's sort of another, for me, I'm not touching that. I certainly would not bet the over. If you made me give out a play, I would say the under, but I'm not looking to bet that at all because I just don't agree with it. And I don't like the number.
What is it about the number that you don't like? Is it just because it's kind of within the range you think they can do? Is it because you feel like the hook is a little tricky? Like, what is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, under 10.5 is priced at minus 135 at Bet Rivers. So it varies depending on where you shop, but that's typically what the market has them at, give or take a little bit. So I don't love, quote, the value on the under. And, I can see the Cowboys and the Eagles both finishing right around 10, right? So it's too close to call. And I don't think I'm getting enough bang for my buck to make a bet on it now. And I'm not getting the receiving end of it for, quite some time.
Do you feel like, as a general principle, it sounds like you're saying that the better bet with the NFC East team is division winner instead of the win totals?
That's my personal style and preference, right? So It doesn't mean my way is the right way. Screw everyone else, right? Everyone has their own preference and niche when it comes to betting, period, especially with futures plays. So I know a lot of people that crush it for season win totals. So, I'm not knocking that, but for me, yeah, I'll maybe make one or two plays if I can really find an opportunity in the summer before season gets underway. But yeah, typically I like to go division winner. And I even go a step further and I like to look for some good value for Super Bowl or conference winner.
By the way, my stone cold lead pipe lock of the century of the start of the NFL season, Panthers money line, week 1.
It's Panthers Browns, right?
Yep.
All right. What's the money line at?
Last time I saw was plus 110.
Okay. I like it. Where's that game at?
I don't remember. I just know that I saw it, and I saw Baker Mayfield was traded to Carolina, and I immediately said that's a good bet. Because remember, it's going to be Jacoby Brissett for the Browns week 1. Baker's going to go out there feeling dangerous for at least 1 week, and I can see the Panthers winning and the Browns going around, and I hear the media now, should you kept Baker?
Listen, I will say this about week 1. It's scary from the betting standpoint because week 1, it's like the wild, wild west. Week 1, every NFL season, especially now where there's no weight in the preseason, they're barely practicing. Week 1 is a preseason game. Week 1 is a fine tuning type of a game where you're going to see bad teams beat the eventual Super Bowl winner. You're going to see, it's just, you can't hold much weight into it. So if you want to get weird week 1, I would say don't be scared in taking legitimate underdogs outright because we see it every year week 1.
But I'm seeing the point spread is Panthers +1 right now.
So yeah, it's a pick 'em essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, I just jump on it. I'm just saying, I think they're going to win that game.
I like it.
He's Ryan Rothstein. He's the real betting expert here. He's the host of the Philadelphia CityCast. We'll be back with one more segment on the other side. Ryan hanging out with 3 o'clock hour here on a Happy Hour Friday. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN.
Touchdown!
Our love for sports is what makes us different from any other station in South Jersey.
Oh, yeah!
Number one for live sports and sports talk. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Calling Philly sports fans. Travel with the pros at Philly Sports Trips. If you're a diehard Philly fan looking for some great Philly sports road trips, it's time to check out the full trip lineup at phillysportstrips.com.
With GMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
I want to make the most of summer without breaking the bank. So I shopped Kohl's Friends and Family sale. With my 25% off coupon, I headed to the store and got shorts for $14.99, plus an extra 50% off a swimsuit, 40% off patio furniture, and $20 off as a Kohl's Rewards member. More style and more savings for the win. Select styles, $20 off of $100 valid in store only. 25% offer ends July 31st in store only. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
I absolutely love my dog, but the constant shedding, not so much. But then I got a Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, and it is amazing. These super thick cloths pick up a crazy amount of hair. Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe. And the best part? Sweeper's so much easier to maneuver than a broom or a vacuum, easily getting around chairs and under the couch. You're right. Now I can focus on you, not your shedding. Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit. Because shed happens.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Water and aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff like use your phone while driving, you could save money with Progressive Snapshot. But saving or not, just put it down. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't looking at your phone, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.
Wendy's new Strawberry Frosty is here. So check your watch. Is it Frosty time yet? It probably is. The hour hand would be on, I'm feeling snacky. And the minute hand would be on, relaxing with a rich, creamy strawberry frosty on a summer day, just digging into that smooth, chilly deliciousness and vibing. You know, depending on what kind of watch you have. When it's time for Frosty time, choose wisely. Choose Wendy's Frosty and Classic Chocolate or New Strawberry.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
School's out, but we are rewriting the math. 0 + 0 equals one heck of a great deal at Matt Blatt Nissan. That's right, 0 down, 0 payments for 3 full months, and 0 mistaking. That only Matt Blatt Nissan has brand new 2022 Nissan Armadas discounted $5,000 off. Plus, buy with peace of mind with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Don't see your Matt Blatt Nissan on on the lot? Don't worry, you could be driving it home tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. With 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 1.9% financing. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $479 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 8/7/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, wrapping up the hour as we are right at the end of the hour here with Ryan Rothstein. Ryan, before I let you go, so what does the final weekend of no football mean for Ryan Rothstein?
Excitement. Means get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it means. What does it mean for Josh?
It means that when I go out, I will be very much less interested in things that are not football on the televisions.
I won't be out because of football.
Come on, man. You gotta go mingle with the people.
Nah, of course.
Philadelphia CityCast, download, subscribe, give it the 5-star review. Ryan Rothstein is the host at Wise Rye on Twitter. Ryan, have a great weekend.
You too, Josh.
Football at 4 with Geoff Mosher next.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
We all know it's fun to joke and laugh with our friends and loved ones, but did you realize a good chuckle is actually good for your heart health? An article by the Cleveland Clinic states that laughing can actually increase blood flow by up to 20% and is similar to aerobic exercise in terms of aiding heart health. Laughter also reduces stress hormones such as cortisol and epinephrine, which can cause blood vessels to constrict. This can also lead to a boost in the antibody count in our blood, improving our immune system. Now more than ever, we could all really use a good laugh. So the next time you're feeling a little stressed, check out an online comedy show, a funny movie or TV show, or something that just makes you chuckle on social media. Catch up with an old friend or family member that always makes you laugh. It just might be good for your heart. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
We get it. You're not going to work just anywhere. You're smart, you're ambitious, and you want to help others. You want a place where you can thrive, feel fulfilled, and have an opportunity for growth, all while making an incredible living. Right now is the perfect time to join the team at Town Square Media as a marketing consultant. Join one of the fastest growing digital companies in America where you get to help build client solutions with real local influencers and sell brands like TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. If this sounds exciting to you, let's have a conversation. Our comp package is amazing with unlimited earning potential, including base salary, mobile phone, auto expense, 401k match, trip incentives, and more. If you're competitive, driven, and have the ability to communicate great ideas, we'd love to hear from you. With digital advertising expected to double over the next 3 years, the timing could not be better. Reach out to Mike Rubel, Market President, at 609-910-5249 or visit careers.townsquaremedia.com. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
I want to make the most of summer without breaking the bank. So I shopped Kohl's Friends and Family Sale. With my 25% off coupon, I headed to the store and got shorts for $14.99, plus an extra 50% off a swimsuit, 40% off patio furniture, and $20 off as a Kohl's Rewards member. More style and more savings for the win. Select styles, $20 off of $100 valid in store only. 25% offer ends July 31st in store only. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Secretary of Agriculture Doug Fisher here. Jersey Fresh eggplant is great fried, baked, or grilled. Pick up Jersey Fresh eggplant at your favorite market today. Love Jersey? Be sure to ask, is it local? Is it Jersey Fresh?
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Mom, Dad, I humbly suggest you save some money and shop Amazon for back to school. It's for my growth, meaning my body's growing at an alarming rate. And clothes you buy me this year will be very small very soon. Plus, the clothes I love today will be out of style tomorrow. But at least your wallet doesn't have to be my fashion victim if you shop low prices for school at Amazon. Hopefully this is helpful. Amazon. Spend less, smile more.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
South Jersey has been traveling with Phillies sports trips for years. Fans have been begging for a South Jersey bus pickup spot, and it's finally happening for their bus trip to the Washington game in September. Come and join over 400 fans already signed up for the best bus trip and tailgate of the season with award-winning food, great drinks, and more. Come say hi to Carson and help get them to their goal of 1,000 fans to FedEx. Philly Sports Trips partnered with the famous Ernest & Sons Meat Market in Brigantine, and they're ready to make this season's trips the best yet.
This is why we're number one for sports in South Jersey.
The Eagles are going to make the playoffs. They play the second easiest schedule. And oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts is good.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station serving all of South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Geoff Mosher.
My personality is I want to win badly. I want to win more Lombardis for Philadelphia and our fans. We got the greatest fans around, and I will do everything possible.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. This is Football at 4.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, was dropped yesterday morning at 6 a.m. Geoff Mosher, Adam Kaplan, and, of course, all of their Eagles training camp coverage over at InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew DeCecco yesterday, Adam Kaplan on Wednesday, and Geoff Mosher is back for a Friday edition. Geoff, how you doing today?
I'm good, Josh. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So this morning, Jonathan Gannon spoke. A very condensed 12-minute session, unlike the marathon that Howie and Sirianni had a couple days ago. I want to start with this with Gannon. I thought it was interesting when Gannon talked about the veterans, because this is something that you and Adam have talked about as well on the Inside the Birds podcast, which is, guys like Anthony Harris, the fans are like, he's a bum, he shouldn't be on the... But, Gannon is explaining these veterans are here to translate some of this stuff. They're almost coaches for the other players. I think that's a very important thing to bring into this conversation, because there have been a lot of additions this offseason. So guys like White, guys like, Jaquaski Tart is a veteran, but a lot of these guys never played in this kind of system before. So how important is it for the other guys to help those guys get up to speed?
Yeah, the Eagles have brought in a lot of veterans and guys who have played in different schemes and different behind different fronts for the secondary. And, he sort of talked about in Minnesota how everyone sees Harrison Smith as this movable chess piece who's, excellent at what he does and helps the Vikings, or at least did under Zimmer, help them do a lot of disguise and in their coverages. But he said that wouldn't be possible if Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr weren't also able to fulfill their responsibilities. And so he talks about having all the veterans here on the Eagles defense. Eagles defense is not a young defense, Josh. It's probably more older than it is younger. You're talking about guys like Anthony Harrison, Jaquiski Tart, Bradbury and Slayer, both over 30. Fletcher Cox has been around for a long time. Brandon Graham's been around for quite a while. So, they've got a Jordan Davis and a Kobe Dean, but for the most part, it's an older defense, guys who have been through a lot, seen a lot. So they should be able to pick up on what Jonathan Gannon wants to do in year two. The question that you always have when you have that kind of an older defense is, where does everybody fit? Can everybody stay healthy? And is everybody still as productive? Can they be as productive as they were 3 or 4 or 5 years ago?
You mentioned the point he made about, what it was like in Minnesota. And I thought it was interesting that Gannon believes that everyone on this defense right now can play the roles needed to do what they did similar in Minnesota. You mentioned Harrison Smith, about how he was like, well, Smith can't do what he does without Andrew Sendejo and without Anthony Barr. So do you agree with his assessment that the Eagles have the players now to do those kind of things?
I think they have the players now to be more versatile in what they want to do. But I don't necessarily know yet that they can fulfill everything that he wants to do, or that he's going to be able to build a defense that completely caters to all their strengths. I mean, I think that's yet to be determined. Yeah, I think there are some things that he said about that didn't jibe, or don't hold up the smell test. For example, Hassan Reddick is a guy who gives them flexibility because Reddick has played in several types of fronts. But really what he's done the best the last 2 years is be a stand-up edge rusher in a 34-like front. When you are that guy, though, that sometimes you have to drop into coverage. And, sources who have seen him play in both Carolina and Arizona have told me that he is not a guy you want covering, whether it's man zone, dropping or running. It's just not his strength, and it's a weakness. And Jonathan said that he feels his coverage is a strength. And I just have to think that Jonathan was just feeding lines on that one. So I'm not 100%. I think that there are some real question marks about how they can execute and accomplish what they might want to do based on the front that they're showing, Josh, without getting too football jargony. But there's going to be times where they have a 5-man line because they're trying to stop the run, and the offense is going to check out into a pass. And at that point, does Jonathan want to keep that look and have Hassan Reddick be the 5th rusher? Or does he want Hassan Reddick dropping into coverage? So basically you're blitzing or you're covering. And, when you're blitzing, then you're leaving holes and voids in other areas, and you have to play a specific defense behind that. So it'll all be for him to figure out. And I don't know that if the Eagles are going to be good enough to pull that all off.
I'm going to seal right at the end there. I was going to go somewhere else, but you said something right. You don't know if. Well, that's a big if, Geoff, because wasn't the whole point of Howie making all these moves? Bradbury, White, Reddick, drafting Jonathan Davis, drafting the Kobe Dean. Wasn't the whole point was Gannon didn't have the personnel last year to do what he wanted. Now Howie went shopping for him and said, I bought all the things you want. Now make the dinner. If Gannon can't make the dinner, that's a huge problem.
It will be a problem for Jonathan Gannon if this defense isn't improved, if he doesn't figure out the right schemes and coverages to match what the offense is trying to do against him. And then that's always a cat and mouse game. It's a game within the game, but then it's also a game each and every week as your film and tape develops for your opponents to use against you. So he certainly has more versatile players. He talked about that. It's obvious. But having versatile players and having really good and talented players and having the acumen on your own self as a coordinator to be able to put players in position to succeed is all the question, and yes, you go out and get players, but they're not all perfect, right? For example, we just talked about Hassan Reddick. He's an edge rusher, but he struggles in coverage. Well, how are you going to mask his struggles in coverage when you put him out there? Because you're paying him to play the full game. So you put him out there, you use him as an overhang player, and all of a sudden the team wants to start passing on you. Well, that puts him in either a rush or a coverage position. So if you're just going to rush him, then what are you doing with the rest of your defense? So, that's the cat and mouse stuff that Jonathan Gannon has to figure out.
Football at 4, Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, joining us, talking reactions to Jonathan Gannon's comments this morning, as well as the latest from Eagles training camp. A couple more things on the defense before we move on, Geoff. I want to ask you, they brought up the point in the presser with Gannon about, hey, you brought in Jaquiski Tartt. What does that mean? And Gannon didn't really give a legitimate answer. He gave one of those, wishy-washy, oh, he's a great player, blah, blah, blah. But I think deep down, Gannon realizes that there's a possibility that even though Anthony Harris is his guy, that Tartt might just be the better option when they start the season.
Yeah, and it's not that I wonder about Anthony Harris being his guy. I do. I mean, I know he played for him, but so did Eric Wilson last year, who was the linebacker that they signed because Eric had played in Minnesota, and Eric got cut halfway through the year because he just wasn't playing well. Anthony Harris was a guy who played okay. He was steady. He didn't help you. He didn't hurt you. I mean, he may have hurt you a little, but he may have helped you at times a little. He just was a guy. Kind of had a vanilla year. So Jaquiski Tartt, when healthy, is a guy who's played at a pretty high level, but he's always struggled to stay healthy. So I think it's fair to wonder if at some point there's a changing of the guard there, or safety. If Jaquiski Tartt is healthy and plays better or outplays Anthony Harris, which, to be honest, shouldn't be difficult to do, but it's not like Jaquiski Tartt's a spring chicken either. So, if anything, Marcus Epps is the guy to be excited about in the secondary because at least he's getting an extended look and you're going to get to see him play and see what he can do.
Imagine saying that a couple of years ago. Epps is the guy to get excited about. Like, if you would have said that to an Eagles fan in 2019, Geoff, they would have been asking where your house is so they could throw tomatoes at your house. Now, all these years later, Epps actually looks like a legitimate starting safety.
Yeah, it's funny you say in 2019 because at the end of that season is when they played Seattle in the playoff game, and it was DK Metcalf's 45-yard catch where he toasted Marcus Epps that basically set up the game winner for Seattle in that game. So yes, he's come pretty far, Marcus Epps, but it's also sort of a sign of what the Eagles have at safety, that Marcus Epps, an undrafted free agent who's on his second team and only played as a package player last year, is the guy to be excited about at the safety position.
Yeah. Meanwhile, DK Metcalf just got $30 million guaranteed, I feel like that's more like hush money than anything else. Cause Seattle's going to have a horrible year probably this year. So
probably.
Geoff, I want to loop you into some of the conversations we've been having since the last time you and I talked earlier this week. Now that camp actually started, we have, people on the field, bodies in the building. Is there too much hyping up from the coaches and the players about Jalen Hurts?
I mean, is there too much hyping up? What do you expect them to not hype him up? He's the starting quarterback. So, I mean,
well, I just feel like there's a fine line between you don't want to be Tyreek Hill and sound like you're trying to convince yourself what you're saying about Tua Tagovailoa. On the flip side, I look at the Eagles and Sirianni's wearing the shirt and AJ Brown is saying how, Jalen Hurts is the greatest. And it's yeah, you're his best friend. Yeah, you're his coach. What are you supposed to say? Like you said. So I'm almost I'm kind of having trouble digesting some of this because some of it, how fans are, they eat this stuff up like it's, candy.
Yeah, well, I guess I would say is I don't think anything that's been said or has been way over the top. I mean, you can point to Nick Sirianni wearing the Jalen Hurts shirt, but he wears everybody's shirt. I mean, that's his whole wardrobe is cartoon character shirts of his players. So it doesn't surprise me. But I would say like two things can be true. The Eagles can do the right thing and have the back of Jalen Hurts, which is the right thing to do, and sing his praises. And fans can be skeptical about it because of what they saw the last time that the team was on the field. So it's fair on both sides.
Do you think that what is okay? Let me rephrase this because I asked this question to Checo yesterday, and he gave me the Checo. That's a good question, answer before he answered for about 2 minutes. So I want to ask you, what is a realistic, fair expectation for Jalen Hurts and this offense this year?
Are you asking me from a statistical standpoint? Like what context are you looking for?
I'm looking for something that because the fan needs something tangible. It might not be statistical always, but it's something where like, hey, it's week 8 and you're on Football at 4, or you're doing the Inside the Birds podcast and you're saying, all right, it's week 8. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles offense has done this, and it's a good or bad thing. Yeah,
so I think the reasonable expectation for this year's offense is to morph from what they were at the second half of last year, which was a run-heavy offense, into a more pass-centric. It doesn't have to be pass-heavy. They don't have to be the Chiefs, okay, even though that they've always admired to be. But they've got to be able to throw the ball early in the game and build the lead through the air. They have dynamic weapons with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. They have some running backs who can catch the ball and do things after the catch when they get it. And both Kenny Gainwell and when Miles Sanders does catch the ball, he can do those things. So they have plenty of weapons. They need to be able to score at least 26 points a game. I think that's a fair average for them. I didn't look at last year's top teams, but I imagine 26 points per game would be something in the top 10 of offense. I'll go back and look, but maybe 25 to 26. So, and yeah, they need to be able to, and I think with Jalen, he needs to be efficient. He needs to be in the mid 60s as far as completion percentage, 64, 65, it would be fine. Above that would be even better. More touchdowns than interceptions by far, which he was good at doing last year. And I think the run element will obviously always be a part of Jalen Hurts' game, and just not as much as it was last year. He needs to show better pocket presence and not getting out of the pocket at the perception of presence, not necessarily, or the illusion of pressure, I should say, not the actual pressure. You know what I'm saying? Meaning it has to be real pressure. You can't just sort of feel it.
Right. You don't want to be Sam Darnold seeing ghosts out there. So
there you go. There you go.
By the way, to your point, the Eagles were 25th last year in passing yards and passing touchdowns, but they were number 1 in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. So, what you're talking about, if I'm interpolating it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're saying take that 25 and make it closer to like 12th in the league. And then maybe the running can be 12th as well or 10th as well. And make sure it's maybe like more like a 60-40 split instead of the other direction.
Sounds good to me. Yes. That's what I'm basically saying. Again, they don't have to be Kansas City. They don't have to be, the Patriots under Aaron Rodgers when he's winning MVP, but they've got to be a better passing offense, a much better passing offense.
You mentioned Miles Sanders earlier. I want to ask you about him because one of the listeners this week was asking me this week that, with all the focus being on Hurts, is it wrong in thinking there needs to be just as much focus on Miles Sanders because of where he is with his contract and his role with his team long term?
Sure. Well, you're saying, is it fair to wonder where Miles is going, what his future is?
Right. Because, they haven't given him an extension. So, I think there's a question out there of, I know you and Adam have talked about on the podcast, the Eagles love Kenny Gainwell. Well, Kenny Gainwell is a well-liked guy, but I think part of it why they like him is because Sanders has not gotten to what he was that rookie year when he was like, oh man, this guy can run, he can catch. And then it was the soft tissue injuries. And then it was the drop passes. And then it was people wondering, asking Nick Sirianni, like, is Sanders part of the offense? And Sirianni said, of course he's part of the offense last year. I remember those weird questions at the press conferences.
I know. It's the whole Miles Sanders career has been odd so far. But, I mean, he's a big part of the team. I still think at this moment he is their best running back. He is healthy. He's a dynamic running back. Don't think people realize maybe that last year he and Nick Chubb led all NFL running backs in yards per carry with 5.5. And I don't know if you do the quick math, that's 5.5. If you're starting off and you get 5.5 yards for carrying first down and you're at 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 4, that gives your offense a whole lot of great possibilities for run, pass, or a run action, play action, anything you want to do. I think he's a good running back who has flaws. And I will say that the coaching staff, though, picked Kenny Gainwell, and that seems to be their guy. So I believe that this running game will be a 2-person running game. It will be Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell as long as they're both healthy. And if someone gets hurt, then Boston Scott enters the equation. I believe Miles Sanders will get a lot of chances and opportunities because he is their best running back, but they will look to get Kenneth Gainwell more involved. And if Miles Sanders does not show improvement in some of the other areas, pass protection, blitz pickup, or can't stay healthy, or if he fumbles, which he's also been prone to do, then Kenneth Gainwell will get more opportunities there.
He's Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast at Geoff Mosher NFL on Twitter. Of course, latest edition of the Inside the Birds podcast dropped Thursday morning. Full coverage of Eagles training camp over at InsideTheBirds.com. And the next pod drops Monday morning at 6 a.m., correct?
That's correct.
All right, Geoff.
You got it all right there, Josh.
I'm trying to keep up. It's been one of those weeks. So Geoff Mosher, appreciate you jumping on, and we will catch up with you in some capacity on Monday because, well, as I've learned in this business, you never say confirm anything. So
correct. Have a great weekend, Josh.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. We'll get back to your guys' thoughts and comments on the other side. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. And you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. The 4 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by Garden State Beer Company. At Garden State Beer Company in Galloway, their motto is a beer for everyone. Contact them today at 609-232-BEER for the Garden State Beer Company in Galloway. Don't forget, still to come, happy hour with Pete Thompson, all that and more, and Billy Schweim live from Wildwood tonight for the Dutch Hoffman lifeguard races at 6 p.m. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a happy hour Friday here on 97.3 ESPN.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. SpringfieldMitsu.com.
You've got bugs. What's your move? A rattly can? Or a simple spritz? Bugs near your kids and pet? Will it be ingredients you can't pronounce? Ew. Or essential oils? Bother the bugs, not your family. Zevo uses essential oils, which attack bugs' biological systems, so Zevo kills bugs, plus is safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo. People-friendly. Bug-deadly. Now at a store near you.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
With JMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the Summer Fun Sale, July 29th through August 8th, and get 35% off paints and stains with prices starting at $27.29. That means 35% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 35% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your local Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Kelly, and here's what's happening in South Jersey. The Golden Nugget has now reached agreement with the Atlantic City Casinos Main Union. That's the last of the casinos to come to an agreement, so it pretty much guarantees another 4 years of labor peace in Atlantic City. Tourism business is good up and down the shore. It's actually been great. Despite the rise in gas prices, great weekend weather during most weekends has played a big part in a solid summer so far. If you're heading down to the beach, be sure to check out our Wave Weather and Beach Report on our station app.
You finally got that new car, so you called your insurance company.
Your call is important to us. Please hold.
We are the tippy top, we're top insurance.
You ended that call with their jingle stuck in your head. Then you called NJM.
Thanks for calling NJM Insurance. This is Claudia. Let's see if we can save you up to 25% on your auto insurance.
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Visit NJM.com for a quote.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Both this evening and tomorrow evening could bring some stormy weather. Showers and thunderstorms look broken to scattered, but given how juicy the atmosphere is, heavy rain, gusty winds, crazy lightning are possibilities, so keep an eye on the sky. The rest of tonight will be muggy. Low temperature only falls to 75. Mostly cloudy and 88 tomorrow with those late-day thunderstorms. We lose the humidity for the weekend. Highs in the 80s. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
This summer, it's playtime in Atlantic City. Play all day, play all night, and always play to win. Visit AtlanticCityNJ.com to press play and win big.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
We are days away from the MLB trade deadline, and the Phillies are hitting the road for a 4-game set with the Pirates. We already had one very interesting trade late last night. What could that mean for the Phillies? Well, we're going to ask Scott Lauber, covers the Phillies for the Philadelphia Inquirer, at Scott Lauber on Twitter, and he joins us right now here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Scott, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, last night when I saw the Andrew Benintendi news, the first thing that came to my mind is, well, one, that's convenient for the Yankees because the Royals are coming to town anyway this weekend. But two, I thought of the fact that, look, there was about a month ago, people said maybe the Phillies would be interested in this guy, and you saw the Yankees dig into their deep farm system to acquire Benintendi. And I can't not forget about the fact that guys like you, Scott, have written about the fact that the Phillies don't have the level of resources that a team like the Yankees can pull from to make trades.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they could have probably anteed up enough to get Andrew Benintendi. I think where it's dicey for the Phillies is when it comes to, the premium level players on the market, whether it's Luis Castillo in the pitching market or, that's really the name I'm focused on because it's kind of what the Phillies have sort of internally determined is their biggest need is starting pitching. So, to get a guy like Luis Castillo, you're going to have to give up 2, maybe 3 of your top 10 prospects. And the Phillies, it's not that they don't have it. It's just that they don't want to do it. They don't feel like at this stage that they can give up, 2 of either Abel, Painter, O'Hoppe, Griff McGarry. They've worked really hard the last few years to build up their farm system a little bit. They're not where they want to be, but they're better than, they were a year or certainly 2 years ago. They're deeper. And it's just, they're not really sure at this stage of where they are. Really, let's face it, they're fighting for a wild card spot and probably one of the last 2 wild card spots at that. That's a steep price to pay in the trade market to get a guy. Now, Benintendi was a little different. He's on an expiring contract. And I think what you saw with the Yankees was they gave up mostly mid-level, prospects. They gave up, 3 of them, I believe, to get them. So they gave up some volume, but, they didn't give up the guys at the very tip top of their farm system. And I was a little surprised, number one, that it happened as quickly as it did. My sense is that a lot of these deals that are going to get made are going to really go down to the wire because there are a lot of teams out there that haven't made up their minds yet if they're going to buy or sell. And once they make that determination, which might not be until after the weekend, that's when we'll start to see some movement. So that was 1. And 2, I thought Benintendi was going to go, but I thought he was going to go to a National League team that didn't have to worry about facing the Blue Jays down the stretch. Benintendi, we found out recently is not vaccinated, could not make a trip to Toronto with Kansas City. The Yankees do play the Blue Jays down the stretch. And I guess the Yankees have either determined that it doesn't much matter. Maybe he's decided he'll get it so that he can make that trip. Or maybe, the Yankees just said, look, we're not going to get Juan Soto. Let's get a guy who we think can help us. And they think Benintendi's that guy. I covered him with the Red Sox. I think he's a good hitter. He might be able to help that team. But, I was a little bit surprised that it all lined up as it did for the Yankees and as early as it did.
So, Scott, if I could backtrack to something you just said a couple minutes ago, I thought it was interesting. You mentioned how you said the Phillies, they are not trying to look to trade Painter, O'Hoppe, those kind of guys, Abel. So if they're not going to trade those type of players, then who can they trade? Like, who is a guy that the fans can say that's an actual player they might trade?
Well, I mean, look, I don't know that they've put the untouchable label on specific. I mean, I think Mick Abel and Andrew Painter are about as close to untouchable as the Phillies have in their farm system. So I don't expect to see either of those guys move. I think Griff McGarry is somebody that they expect can come quickly to the big leagues, and he's already in Double-A. I don't think we'll see him this year, but we might see him next year. And Dave Dombrowski alluded to this the other day where he said, go back in my history, and I'm not afraid to jump a player from Double-A to the big leagues if the player's ready. And you could go back through whether it's Rick Porcello with the Tigers or, there have been other examples in his career where he has jumped a young, whether it's pitcher or player from Double-A. So he's not afraid to do that. And I think that they're at a point where, they think that those guys can help them maybe even sooner than expected. O'Hoppe's an interesting one because he's blocked in the big leagues with the Phillies by JT Realmuto, who's not going anywhere, and he's not changing positions anytime soon. So I do wonder about a player like that. While they don't want to trade a young, good catching prospect, you never want to do that. If you don't have a place for him in the big leagues in the short term, you wonder whether he's somebody that they could use as a chip to go get something that they need. Now, by himself, he's not going to get you Luis Castillo, but maybe he'll get you another pitcher on the list of available pitchers and help you out that way. So I'd be surprised to see Abel, Painter, McGarry at this point move, but they're going to have to give up something to get something, and I don't think you'll see them trade like Logan O'Hoppe for a player, a 2-month rental player. But if they could find somebody who could help them beyond this year, maybe he's in play. We'll see.
Now, last trade deadline, we saw them go out there and make the deal that brought in Kyle Gibson, Ian Kennedy, and Kraus, the minor league pitcher.
Right.
Now, we know that, Kraus has been injured part of the year, and Kennedy was a rental, but Gibson was a guy who was under control for multiple years, and they had him last year, and now they have him again this year. Is that maybe what we're talking about here, where a guy, maybe not a Luis Castillo, but maybe someone like Kyle Gibson, who is not just a 2-month rental, a guy who's also under contract potentially next year? Is that maybe the larger picture target, you think?
I think it's a possibility that you could see that. I just, I mean, the more I talk to people and the more I hear from, scouts out in the field and other teams, personnel, it doesn't look like an especially strong pitching market. Now, again, it could change. I wrote today about the Red Sox, who could, like last year, a couple of days out, 3, 4, 5 days out from the deadline, the Cubs had not committed yet to selling, and the Nationals had not committed yet to selling. And then they decided to be sellers, and we had a bonanza at the deadline where Scherzer moved, and Trey Turner, and Chris Bryant, and anything else that was not nailed down in Washington and Chicago wound up going. And it was Javi Baez, and it was Anthony Rizzo, of course, and it was sort of a free-for-all at the deadline. So if a team like the Red Sox, who are not going well, they're in last place in the American League East, decide to sell, you could all of a sudden see people like Nathan Eovaldi, who would be a pitcher who would be of interest to a lot of contending teams, and maybe Kike Hernandez. And, they say they're not going to trade Xander Bogaerts or Rafael Devers. Those would be two humongous names that could move. But, the Red Sox have pieces that could help teams if they decided to go that route. There are other teams in that same boat. The Giants, are a team that looks like they're going to buy or at least try to add a little bit. But if they have a bad weekend, it could go the other way. And all of a sudden, Jock Peterson could be available and Carlos Rodon. So, I think Dave Dombrowski said the other day, I think Monday was when we spoke to him, and he said 8 days is sort of an eternity in the life of a trade deadline. I would tell you that 4 or 5 days is still an eternity in the life of a trade deadline. So I'm not really sure, but as we sit today, beyond Luis Castillo, there's, in the pitching market, there's, maybe Frankie Montas in Oakland, maybe Noah Syndergaard with the Angels, Chad Kuhl, who's local from Delaware with the Rockies. These are the kinds of pitchers who might be on the move, and the Phillies could be interested in somebody like that to kind of come in and help them. Many of those guys are on expiring deals, so they would be sort of rentals. And, when you get into the sort of model that they had last year with the Kyle Gibson model, I don't know that there are too many guys like that out there. Merrill Kelly in Arizona, but I'm not sure he's going to go. It's difficult to find the controllable pitcher other than the top of the market, like a Luis Castillo, who's going to move, or Montas. And those are guys, obviously, because of an extra year or two of control, that are going to cost you more than kind of a mid-level prospect. You're going to pay a different price for, Frankie Montas than you're going to pay for Noah Syndergaard. So those are all things the Phillies have to weigh as they determine how they want to add to their roster before Tuesday.
Scott Lauber covers the Phillies for the Philadelphia Inquirer. You can follow him on Twitter at Scott Lauber. Joining us here on the Sports Bash, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday on 97.3 ESPN FM. Scott, you mentioned the Red Sox, and I want to ask you a little more about Dombrowski, because I know when you were covering the Red Sox during your time, you were there for part of the Dombrowski years, and now you're seeing him here with the Phillies. Our listeners, it's a strong divide, Scott, between the people who say, you got to trust Dombrowski, I believe what he could do, and the other side of the fan base that's saying, calling him Dombrowski. They're saying things like, how could you give Castellanos all this money? So talk to the audience for a moment about what is your perspective on who and what Dave Dombrowski is, the job he's done, and what is a fair expectation of him moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. I have always known him to be a star hunter. He likes star players. He likes big names. And he's usually in a position to acquire big names rather than move them. I can think of one trade deadline maybe in the last 10, 15 years where he's truly been a seller. And that was his last year in Detroit when he traded David Price at the deadline and I think Yoenis Cespedes at the deadline. And this was after acquiring Price the year before. He's usually the guy who's chasing big names, chasing stars, and wanting to add them wherever he can. Now, in talking to him Monday, and Monday is really the last opportunity I've had to speak with him, he sounded a lot more restrained. And it is a very, very interesting situation that the Phillies are in. And I'm going to write about this over the next few days. On the one hand, they have a winning record and or have won the season series against just about every contender in the National League. They've won the season series against the Dodgers and the Padres and the Brewers and the Cardinals. They play the Braves tough. The only team that's a contender in the National League that they have really struggled with is the Mets. And a lot of that was early, and a lot of that was, a lot of that was when they were struggling under Joe Girardi. So they played the Mets a lot early in the year. So that's one thing. I mean, they've proven that they can play with the class of the National League. They also have this 10-year playoff drought, which is the longest in the National League, and it's hanging over them. And every single thing they do, every step they make, is made under that cloud, with that as the backdrop. Now, at the same time, they are in a spot where they're realistically competing for the last playoff spot in the National League, either the last spot or the fifth spot. So that gets them a series, a best of 3 series, but all 3 games would be on the road. So I could see them being a whole lot more aggressive if, let's say, they were where the Braves are, and that is, kind of nipping at the Mets' heels. And if they don't catch the Mets, they're going to be the 4th seed, and they're going to get home games in that first round. And well, in that case, you can be a lot more aggressive, and you can say, hey, let's go for it. Let's take 2 of our top 5 prospects and turn them into Luis Castillo. Our time is now. And, the Phillies sound, at least Dombrowski sounds like he's going to take a bit more of a conservative approach, because although they have a winning record against all these good teams, and although they have Wheeler and Nola at the top of their rotation, which makes them dangerous in a short series, your odds aren't great when you've got to play a 3-game series with all 3 games on the road. Your odds aren't tremendous of moving on necessarily. So you want to be maybe a little bit more protective of your prospects. If it were me, I would say, I'd err more on the aggressive side, honestly, because you have this playoff drought, because you have those top 2 pitchers, because if you get into the postseason, anything can happen, and because prospects are not guarantees. And while I appreciate the people who want to, hoard their prospects and who want to look at Baseball America lists and see how many of yours are in the top 100, we all know that prospects are prospects until they turn into real, star players in the big leagues, and very few of them turn into upper echelon stars. So Dombrowski over the years has been good at determining which guys to move and which guys to hold. With the Red Sox, he had a choice essentially between Rafael Devers and Yohan Moncada. He traded Moncada in the trade for Chris Sale, and Devers has become the far better player at this point in their careers. So, he's been good at deciding kind of where to be aggressive and where not to be, but he is always on the hunt for stars. And that's why when I hear him say, we might not be in the upper, we might not be looking at premium level players at this deadline, I kind of say, all right, let's see what the next few days bring, because I don't know him to be the guy who sort of sits on the sidelines when there are premium level players out there to be acquired.
And that, of course, starts this weekend. 4-game set in Pittsburgh with the Pirates is where the Phillies are. And you can catch all of Scott Lauber's coverage at Inquirer.com covering the Phillies, or like what happens to me on the weekends when one of my coworkers, Billy Schwein, brings in the Inquirer newspaper and lays out all the pages around the studio like it's a doctor's office from 20 years ago. So
love it. Love it. Love to get your hands dirty, right? You get your fingers dirty with all that print. Love that.
Yeah, you tell people back in the day, you actually used to read a newspaper, you used to have something in your hand. Now everybody's got it on their phones or on their iPads,
Right. No, exactly. I have a 6-year-old son, and we get the paper delivered every day because I want him to know what a newspaper is. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So we'll see.
Well, hopefully you'll need to install a rotary phone for him to go too far back. But
let's not get crazy. But no.
Gotcha. Scott, I always appreciate you jumping on. Great insights. Check out all of Scott's coverage over at Inquirer.com, or pick up the hard paper, as we mentioned, the Philadelphia Inquirer. Scott, enjoy the Phillies weekend, and I'm sure you'll have plenty to write about over the next several days.
Thanks, Josh. It's definitely an interesting time of year.
When you need live sports play-by-play.
Forget it. Out of here. Reese Hoskins will touch them all over that right center field wall.
And the best sports talk in South Jersey. There's only one place to go. 97.3 ESPN.
Matt Blatt Kia wants to give you independence. Yes, independence. Like freedom from down payments, freedom from payments for 3 months, and freedom from your old car. Plus, if you have a job and clear $350 per week, Matt Blatt Kia wants to approve you today on any brand new Kia or pre-owned vehicle in stock, or one of hundreds of new 2023 Kia models en route, all with 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. So bring any trade in any condition, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released. Get cash for your car today, even if you don't buy a car from us. But why wouldn't you buy a new Kia? Because you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Unapproved credit plus applicable taxes and fees. See dealer for details. Not all will qualify. Deferred payment through TFCU. Interest accrues from date of sale. Offers don't combine. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for complete details. Expires 8/7/22. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
I absolutely love my dog, but the constant shedding, not so much. But then I got a Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, and it is amazing. These super thick cloths pick up a crazy amount of hair. Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe. And the best part? Sweeper's so much easier to maneuver than a broom or a vacuum, easily getting around chairs and under the couch. You're right. Now I can focus on you, not your shedding. Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, because shed happens.
O'Reilly! Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. Beat the heat before you hit the road with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name is Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Did you take those big down payments?
You're darn right I did.
Yeah, Anna. He is breaking the laws of Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. They made it clear. It's a crime to pay more than a dime. Every new Mitsubishi, one dime down.
Take them away. And at Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City, ask for credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get up to $25,000 in credit. So, what's the beat on inventory?
Other dealers are struggling, but not Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. 40 new Outlanders in stock now. An entire fleet of new and pre-owned. New Mitsubishis from just $17,000.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City.
In Pleasantville, they service all makes and models.
Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com. Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com.
New 22 Mirage, 16 Ford, 9 down, $249 a month for 72 months at 3% APR, plus tax tag title to qualified buyers.
I want to make the most of summer without breaking the bank. So I shopped Kohl's Friends and Family sale. With my 25% off coupon, I headed to the store and got shorts for $14.99, plus an extra 50% off a swimsuit, 40% off patio furniture, and $20 off as a Kohl's Rewards member. More style and more savings for the win. Select styles, $20 off of $100 valid in-store only. 25% offer ends July 31st in-store only. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
The seafood, extraordinary. The value, tremendous. The sunsets on the house. The Boathouse Restaurant and Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood. Experience the best of the Jersey Shore at Yuri's and the Boathouse.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey sports leader.
4:50 here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM. You know, typically in the past, if you're listening to me for the last few years, you know, whether I'm hosting on Friday, whether I'm hosting a show on a Saturday, and there's a UFC pay-per-view, I'm typically all over it. I'm typically jumping on the air. I'm bringing on some sort of MMA reporter, some sort of MMA insider, and I'm not doing it this weekend. And it's not because I'm any less interested. Look, I am extremely intrigued by Pena versus Nunes 2. I'm very curious about Brandon Moreno defending his flyweight belt against Kai Kara-France. I think that there's some very interesting fights on this card. Anytime Alex Perez is watching and Anthony Smith are fighting, I love to watch, I should say. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, you know, this is a fight card that has not really been treated properly and has not been handled properly. I think that the UFC leaned very heavily into Pena and Nunes being the coaches in the Ultimate Fighter. And you've heard me talk in the past about, you know, marketing and advertising and how that impacts people. You know, on a typical UFC pay-per-view week, I'll run into people and they'll ask me, hey, what do you think? Who do you think is going to win? Got some UFC picks. Not happening this week. In fact, when ESPN has been promoting the fight card, they keep directing people over to watch The Ultimate Fighter over on ESPN Plus much more than they promoted UFC 277 tomorrow night. And look, at plus 225 for Juliana Pena, that's great value for a lady who is being completely overlooked and misjudged. And I think that Brandon Moreno and Derek Lewis as a parlay is a great value. It's a parlay of plus 229. I really do think that there's a lot of good fights on this card. And I think there's a lot of interesting situations. I mean, I know a lot of people are looking at Magomed Ankalaev as a heavy favorite, but Anthony Smith can definitely create an upset there. Drew Dober is always an interesting fighter. But in today's world, it's not about the diehard fan. It's about the casual fan. And the casual fan really has no idea this fight card's going on. And it's hard for me to get on this microphone and scream from the rooftops about something that the majority of people either don't know about or don't care about. one of the things I talk about college football a lot is I love college football. I'm a diehard college football fan. If I had a job where I talked college football 24/7, I certainly would not be sad about it. But I also realize that there's a lot of college football games and matchups that I am interested in that the average casual fan is not. It is not because that person is stupid for not being interested or that person is not cool. Look, I also watch a lot of baseball games other people don't watch. I'll watch the Padres versus, Padres Mariners at 10:30 at night because I love sports. But I understand the majority of you guys out there who are listening to the sound of my voice on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Look, football is king. And I love football too. And, when we talk with Pete Thompson next hour about the Phillies and about the Eagles, I understand that that's where the majority of people are interested in. It's not just because of the time of year it is, but because of marketing. The NFL is on every show, on every commercial. Baseball is all over the networks right now. UFC is not. The UFC literally has taken something, and ESPN has taken something that I love and basically minimalized it, all in under the umbrella of promoting ESPN Plus and The Ultimate Fighter. And in a world where they usually, the UFC and ESPN, invest a lot of time and energy in promoting a fight card, I'm telling you right now, this is probably going to be the worst pay-per-view seller of the year. And it's not because of Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes. It's not because of Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara France. It is because the promoter, the UFC, and ESPN, the broadcaster, did them a disservice. Happy Hour with Pete Thompson next.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, three-time All-Big Ten linebacker Brad Quast joins me in the studio. We'll look at the Eagles as they start training camp and the Phillies in Pittsburgh. The sportsbook consigliere Dave Sherapan checks in from Vegas with his insights on the NFL and Major League Baseball. Hour 2, it's the Beach Patrol Report brought to you by the Groundhogs Moving Company. We'll have the results of the 51st Annual Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races and talk with the race director from the Cape May Point Beach Patrol, Kristen Morby. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
School's out, but we are rewriting the math. 0 plus 0 equals one heck of a great deal at Matt Blatt Nissan. That's right, 0 down, 0 payments for 3 full months, and 0 mistaking. That only Matt Blatt Nissan has brand new 2022 Nissan Armadas discounted $5,000 off, plus buy with peace of mind with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Don't see your Matt Blatt Nissan on the lot? Don't worry, you could be driving it home tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. With 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 1.9% financing. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $479 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 8/7/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
I want to make the most of summer without breaking the bank. So I shopped Kohl's Friends and Family Sale. With my 25% off coupon, I headed to the store and got shorts for $14.99, plus an extra 50% off a swimsuit, 40% off patio furniture, and $20 off as a Kohl's Rewards member. More style and more savings for the win. Select styles, $20 off of $100 valid in store only. 25% offer ends July 31st in store only. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Meet Boost, the fizzing amazing vitamin boosts that make you feel like
I like to boost it, my vitamins can boost it. I like to boost it, we like to boost it.
Boost effervescent vitamins turn your H2O into H2O to give you a fizztastic feeling like
I like to boost it, my vitamins can boost it. I like to boost it, we like to boost it.
Because it's not just vitamins, it's Boost, the fizzing amazing vitamin boost.
Boost it.
Now, local businesses can get closer to every customer in their city with fast, affordable shipping. Introducing USPS Connect Local. You want speed? We deliver same or next day. You want savings? We give you supplies at a flat rate. You want less legwork? We do free pickups. Move your local business forward with the United States Postal Service. Let's connect at USPSconnect.com/local. Specific markets, restrictions apply. Same day or next day delivery expected, but not guaranteed with entry close to final destination.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the summer fun sale, July 29th through August 8th, and get 35% off paints and stains with prices starting at $27.29. That means 35% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 35% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your local Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Did you take those big down payments?
You're darn right I did.
Your Honor, he is breaking the laws of Springfield. Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. They made it clear. It's a crime to pay more than a dime. Every new Mitsubishi, one dime down.
Take them away. And at Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City, ask for credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get up to $25,000 in credit. So, what's the beat on inventory?
Other dealers are struggling, but not Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. 40 new Outlanders in stock now. An entire fleet of new and pre-owned. New Mitsubishis from just $17,000.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City.
In Pleasantville, they service all makes and models.
Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com. Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com.
New 22 Mirage, 16 Ford, 9 down, $249 a month for 72 months at 3% APR, plus tax tag title to qualified buyers.
Sports is what we do.
Segura from a knee throws him out.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station, serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. Happy Hour Friday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Get the PT in just a moment, as promised, with the 5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by American Airlines, Atlantic City International Airport. ACY now is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. Book your next trip today at AA.com. Now, we got a lot going on this week. We had a lot of time together. I think me and Pete Thompson have seen each other more this week than we have since PT was working every day here full time. Now, PT, I've seen you more this week in probably maybe 2 years. Are you tired of me yet?
Not at all, buddy. It's good to see you again. Yes, happy hour Friday. And you're right. We've seen a lot of each other this week. And that's what happens when some guy with the initials MG goes to Croatia and goes away. But and Italy, don't forget Rome. But no, it's been nice to hang out with you. And I think here somewhere I have there it is, my copy of my Jersey Man magazine, so we can plug Ken's outfit last night. That was a hell of a lot of fun. We were at the Jersey Man summer event up at the pool at Harrah's and just had a wonderful time with a bunch of people up there. And I think that was your first one, right? To enjoy the networking and all the different people and great conversations and stuff.
Well, I got to admit the best part of the night was the food, because I remember I told you I was the smart one. And you confirmed I was the smart one, because while half the people there were grabbing the finger food, I lingered around the whole area and I found the make it when you order Chinese food section, where it's almost like a Chipotle or a Cheeto burrito, where you walk up there, you'd be like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And the lady just puts it all in a bowl and like stir fries it for 5 minutes and then pours it into a Chinese quart box for you, and you're just good to go.
You got takeout. I saw you and one other guy just housing Chinese food, and I was like, where the hell did they get Chinese food from? Shout out to Jim Ziris, who's a friend of 97.3 and a friend of the locker room on the weekends. Jimmy is part of the Tropicana group, but it's all connected, and he did a great job making sure that we were set up there for the food. So whether it was the finger food or whether it was your awesome vat of Chinese food that you had. I mean, you couldn't beat that.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like I said, you said my first time going out there. First of all, thanks to the PT for helping facilitate me going. Thanks to Billy Schweim for the infight and the facilitation on his end for me going. Met some cool people last night. Definitely, first class job by Ken Dunnick and his daughters, setting that whole thing up. I mean, I got to tell you, for people who run as someone who has ran events, okay, watching them run around like basically losing their minds almost, trying to make sure everything was like situated and people where they need to be. Definitely an applause to them for putting in all that work. So that was
his wife Terry. It was her birthday yesterday. So how did you celebrate your birthday? Oh, one of my husband's events.
Right, exactly. So that was why PT and I saw each other last night. Then you and I saw each other earlier this week because we're logisticating for today because maybe we're trying to pull off some radio magic today. We'll let the audience know about that in about 30 minutes from now specifically. But Billy Schweim is broadcasting the lifeguard races from the Dutch Hoffmans in Wildwood. So I can tell you folks right now that I've also seen more of Billy this week than I had planned on as well.
That may not be a good thing. You've had your fill.
All right, Pete, let's get to the actual sports. This is a sports show. First of all, so I'm listening to Jonathan Gannon talk this morning, right?
Okay.
And I brought this up to Geoff Mosher on Football 4, and I want to circle it back to you, Pete Thompson, because even though you're somebody, a PT, worked in media for over 20 years, blah, 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 you're also still a sports fan. And I want to ask you, when Jonathan Gannon speaks so highly as he does, saying, well, in Minnesota, the reason why we were so good was XYZ, and everyone we have on the defense now can do the things we want them to do. Is that some guy blowing smoke up your rear as a fan, or is that a guy you think is being earnest and saying, hey, Howie Roseman went to the store, bought me the groceries I needed to make dinner?
Yeah, I'd go more with the second one. I mean, and I think that's part of it is that, they didn't fully have all the pieces that Jonathan Gannon wanted to execute his vision. So, of course, this is the time of year where everybody's excited and they're not really hitting. And it's just sort of like, shorter practices and more walkthroughs. And this is the new normal. But so I understand his enthusiasm, but I have to take him at heart that he's excited to finally have the construct of his defense the way that he wanted it to be from the get-go. And you can't always get that right away, but I mean, my goodness, he's, the flip side of that is you could sit up there and say, well, I finally got the pieces to run the defense the way that I want to. And then if they don't, well, then that's on you, coach. Obviously, you're not putting them in the right position. You're not making the right calls. There's only so much the guy can do. But the reality is that I think that there's a lot of optimism. And Coach Sirianni, not even Coach Gannon, but Coach Sirianni has had that talk with the team already, which is like, how do we manage expectations? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we, not buy into the hype? How do we do that? And so far, so good.
My only concern is that, in my opinion, a lot of people talk about Jalen Hurts, right, Pete? And my thing is, I think there should be more pressure on Sirianni and Gannon than there should be on Jalen Hurts. Now, you and I both know the reason why that is because fans buy jerseys with players' names on them. Nobody buys a jersey with a coach's name. So people are always going to blame the player before they blame the coach. But Pete, I got to tell you, I think Gannon is in a very weird situation right now because he had 2 head coaching interviews this past year, and there's a lot of speculation that he won't be here next year. So if he's not going to be here next year, he has to show out this year with this defense, because you and I both know that if it's week 8 of the Eagles season and we're, talking on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill and it's Tuesday with Thompson, or it's game night with Josh Hennig, or whatever show we're doing, and the conversation is the Eagles defense is not top 10 in the league, we're going to be ripping this guy almost every single day.
Oh, very much so. And the other thing, too, is just, again, we talk about the construct of his defense and what they do. Well, what drove us crazy about Jim Schwartz was that, either those wide nine concepts back in the day or the fact that, Eagles fans have and always will love quarterback pressure. And the NFL being the vertical league that it is, now, there's some people that still blitz, and then there's a lot of people that don't blitz. They prefer to go more with, I'm going to flood the secondary. I'm going to put more bodies back there. There's not going to be an open receiver. And if my front four can get home, then so be it. And that's, there's got to be that mix between there. And the reason we're fans is because we just want to see the kill every single time. But that doesn't necessarily isn't always like the right way to dial up a defense, I guess.
No, well, it's illogical because you don't want to let the offense know you're doing too much because they don't take advantage of you. That's one of the problems that Buddy Ryan ran into. People, the thing that people don't talk about.
He didn't call any plays on offense. I mean, that infamous story where he used to say to Randall, just go out and make some plays. Come on,
right.
Dude.
Well, but the problem is Buddy did something similar on defense. So, all the football people who are smarter than me and you, okay? The Greg Cosell's of the world from NFL Films and those kind of people, people in NFL Network like Baldy, what they explain is that, if you show somebody something too much and you never give them any variety, you're going to get yourself killed, as you would say, Pete. So, it's one of those things where Gannon now has to go out there and find that happy medium between being aggressive, which is what everybody wants him to do, and not being stupid.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then the other thing, too, is that, because they're not going hard, you would hope that nobody gets injured. It's so rare. Like training camp injuries, are, fluke injuries usually. And I just think I'm on the opposite side of the ball as this pops into my head. But I think about the Bucs center that went down the other day and looked pretty serious,
It looks like it's going to be a season-ending injury, Pete.
Right, which you just hope that none of that happens to one of the Eagles, and yet it always seems like one of that happens to one of the Eagles. So,
Pete, I'm glad you went this direction. I'm glad you went here because there was a certain someone this morning that asked Jonathan Gannon a dumb question. His initials are HE, and he sounded like an imbecile asking Jonathan Gannon about supposedly people are whining, his words, not mine, about the practices not being longer and harder, to which Gannon turned around and said, who's whining? And this individual whose initials are HE turned around and says, well, the fans, and Gannon's like, well, I don't pay attention to any of the outside noise. Right. All I know is in our building, we're excited. And Gannon had to explain to this Neanderthal HE that, in today's football, you're trying to protect the players from getting hurt because the Eagles for those who don't know, the Eagles have in charge of their health and fitness and all that kind of stuff, the guy who used to run the Rams stuff. And the Rams have the lowest number of injuries per year in the NFL. So this guy, Tim, I forget his last name, it starts with R. I don't want to say the wrong last name, but it's Tim R. He basically is the guy telling Sirianni and Gannon, this is what Sean McVay does to prevent injuries. So the Eagles are saying, well, considering that before Sirianni got here, every year under Doug Peterson, wasn't it so-and-so's injured, this person's injured, every year, right? It felt like it was remember 2018? We were running out there, guys off the street. It's like a law firm back there when the Saints shredded that secondary. The whole point of this not going crazy hard in training camp is to make sure that when it's November, we don't have Bosby and Cravon LeBlanc back there in the secondary.
Cravon LeBlanc, yeah. And I've been doing some reading on this too. The Eagles had fewer players miss time with soft tissue injuries last season than
Yep.
the 2 previous seasons. Sirianni did explain that each day at camp is either a green, yellow, or red in conjunction with the training staff, depending on the amount of work that they've done the 2 previous days. And, like, for example, Tuesday was conditioning test. That was a yellow day. Then they did a green practice. Then Thursday they went to a walkthrough. It's these, they call them soft tissue injuries, right? That a couple of years ago, it just seemed like they were all over the place. And as we sit here today, there's 4 walkthroughs scheduled in the next 16 days. And I think that's what the Neanderthal HE is referring to. Like, walkthroughs, what happened to 2-a-days? What happened to the guys puking as they went up the hill? What happened? Well, that's Dinosaurville. That's old school stuff. I mean, I do understand, there was a point in the Chip Kelly camps where people got frustrated because the Eagles were poor tacklers. And they said, well, what do you expect if you never tackle ever in camp or practice? What do you expect is going to happen? You're going to be a poor tackler. I think that they found a blend of times where they will tackle versus where they take it easy. This whole red, yellow, and green scenario and bringing this guy in from the Rams, Darius Slay, who has been around the league a long time, said walkthroughs are more important than the joint practices, honestly. That's the time I get to really focus and lock in on stuff. I can ask questions during the play. We can repeat it if we need to or if I need to. In the live practices, you can't repeat plays. It's like a game. You can't ask any questions. So there's Darius Slay. That's just one example of a guy saying, look, these walkthroughs actually are more helpful sometimes than people think.
Happy Hour Friday with the PT, talking some Eagles football with Pete Thompson, the one and only Pete Thompson. By the way, you can hear Pete every Sunday with Billy Schwein on 97.3 ESPN in the locker room. Pete hangs out with Mike Gill on Fridays. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Pete, I delayed it long enough. I know it's supposed to be Happy Hour Friday, but we got to talk about that Phillies game last night. Because the Phillies snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, or whatever term.
Defeat. They did win the game. Remember, they won.
But it feels like they lost. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. And I feel bad for all the people who got suckered by the fake Phillies account saying that Darius Familia.
If you had seen that,
yeah. I saw it early this morning. I was like, that can't be real. And yes, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. It looks so official.
Philadelphia Phillies, right? From my guy, Zach Zeman, right? And it's funny. The first thing that turned me on to this tweet or got my attention to it was an actual beat reporter, that Destiny Legardo that tweets all the time. I think she's Phillies Nation or something like that, but she tweets frequently and she's like, these people are a joke. These tweets have to stop. Blah, 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 blah. And she was like all pissed off about it. I'm thinking like, what is she talking about? Then I dig through the feed a little bit. I just started laughing because I said, God, that looks pretty real. For what we're talking about to the listeners, it says the Phillies have recalled right-handed pitcher Mark Pell from Lehigh Valley, AAA. Right-handed pitcher Jairus Familia has been designated for assignment. That was at 10:20 last night, and people started jumping on that like, woohoo! Well, sorry, folks, it's not real. It's kind of like, and not to give everybody on Twitter a shout out, but I love that Evil Gritty account. There's an Evil Gritty out there that just puts up or God bless him, whoever that kid was that ran the fake Coatsy account. I know that the actual Stephen J. Coates didn't like it very much, but the kid, I was going to say, other people liked it.
Obviously, I can't imagine knowing Coatsy the way, I don't know him as well as you do, but knowing him enough, I have to imagine Coatsy, when he heard about this Twitter account, he was like, can we get this off here?
He was none too pleased. And he did a little detective work and found out it was basically a nerd in his basement. And still that wasn't
that
enough.
must have driven him more nuts.
I think he wanted to go over and knock the kid's block off, but it's a kid. Like, what are you going to do? You can't go beat up every Twitter troll out there. But look, we can laugh about this. The truth of the matter is Familia was terrible last night. He was absolutely dog dirt awful.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, so I took you back from the Jersey Man event last night,
Yes.
right? The minute I dropped you off, I got in touch with my girl and said, all right, I've dropped Josh off. I'm on my way home. I'll see you in a little bit. That was a quick conversation. She says, well, you better hurry up. The Phillies are blowing it, right? So I turned the Phillies game on for a second, right?
Yeah.
So I'm listening on the radio, but then I also remembered that my buddy from Omaha had called me. And this is an interesting story, Josh. This man's name is Mike Sigmund, okay? Mike was in TV with me, realized that journalism didn't pay diddly poo and got out of it. And he's now a financial planner and does really, really well for himself and his family.
Good for him. Good for him.
So because he does well, one year he bid on the Phillies fantasy auction or whatever and won the prize to do an inning on the radio with Fransky in LA.
Oh, wow.
So he did play-by-play, and a lot of times the people that win that are like their rich parents win it for the kid, or whoever does it, like they really have like no background in it. Sigmund went in, I think he did it, and I want to say he did it in like 12, maybe 2012 or 2013 or something like that. But he did an inning on the radio with him. So when I called Sigmund last night, he's like, "Are you like?" He answers the phone. "Are you watching this?" I said, "No." I'm actually in the car, but I wanted to call you before I got home. I said, "I'll tell you what. Will you do some play-by-play for me?" And he starts off with, Phillies now trailing, or Phillies only with an 8-7 lead in a game they once led 8-0 at one point. Familia can't get anyone out. Here's the pitch. It was outstanding. I mean, it was such a treat. And it was kind of like the anti-Fransky, because Fransky will just give you the facts. He was giving me both play-by-play and a little bit of opinion.
He was doing a little Tom McGinnis impersonation.
He sure did. He sure did. That's right. Are you kidding me?
By the way, if I haven't mentioned this in a while, and I know that to some people this is kind of anathema. Of all the broadcasters in Philadelphia, McGinnis is my favorite because there is nothing better. And it's nothing against Merrill. It's nothing against Tom McCarthy. Tom McCarthy's a wonderful human being, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. Nothing against Fransky. Nothing against Saunders or any of those guys. There's nothing more hilarious to me than listening to Tom McGinnis do a call and then immediately transition into like color analysis. So-and-so goes up for the basket, foul. That's not a foul. I mean, that wasn't a foul in any world. And he starts telling some story about, when I was younger and we played basketball, we wouldn't call it a foul unless there was blood. Hey, now we're at the line shooting two. He just seamlessly transitions from one to the other. It's a beautiful thing to listen to. I absolutely enjoy it thoroughly.
It sure is. And I agree. Tom McGinnis is a real gem. He's a talent, and it's so far and few between that people can do both those skills simultaneously. That's what always makes it so impressive. He doesn't short one end for the other. He just brings and I know that the Sixers and I know the rights holders, they love it. Great. One guy can do two things. We'll have to pay 2 salaries, 2 airline tickets, and 2 hotel rooms. And all this is outstanding. But I will say that Tom McGinnis is really, really he's special.
But back to the Phillies. Look, Familia, I don't know who to blame at this point anymore. Do I blame the manager for trotting him out there and keeping him out there for too long? Or do I blame the GM for keeping him on the roster? I don't know who to blame here. Or do we blame both?
Both. I mean, he's got a 6 ERA, right? The guy just flat out has not gotten it done this season and has never gotten into a groove one bit. When he has 33 innings pitched and 22 earned runs, that's close enough to me. That's damn near a run an inning. What are you doing? He's putting gasoline on the fire. You're supposed to put the fire out. And the Mets fans love it. Oh, the Mets fans love it because he was their frustration forever, and now he's ours.
Well, if you're a Phillies fan right now, you're shaking your fist at Dombrowski because, the reason why I asked Scott Lauber what I did about Dombrowski was because, Dombrowski has a history of, making big trades, right? And I thought Lauber was interesting because he said, Dombrowski likes to go get stars. And it reminded me of, Brett Brown and star hunting, right? And right now, Philly fans are like, the Mets have made 2 trades already. What is Dombrowski waiting for, right? The Yankees made a trade. What's Dombrowski waiting for? Meanwhile, Dombrowski told you a week ago that he's not going all in on the deadline because he views Harper and Segura coming back as trade deadline additions, and that the expectation is that he's only going to go get pitching. Well, guess what, Pete? Part of getting that pitching needs to be getting rid of Familia.
Yeah, I mean, there just has to be a better option than that guy. To give up 5 earned runs and 4 hits, to take a laugher of an 8-2 game down to 8-6, and then all of a sudden it's 8-7. It makes you forget about the fact that they'd had 15 hits and 8 runs out of the offense, which was an explosion out of that offense. It makes you forget about the fact that Zach Wheeler had another strong outing, 7 innings and 3 hits and 2 earned runs, or Schwarber had a Schwarber bomb that damn near went out of the whole ballpark. I mean, it makes you, and not for nothing, but that's a stupid question, had 3 hits. Of course he does that away from home, but finally, maybe that's a stupid question. I'm not even going to call him by his name. That's a stupid question. Had 3 hits last night. So maybe things are turning. It helps that it's the Pirates. You're supposed to beat teams like that, Josh. You're supposed to beat the bad teams when you get the chance to do that. They won 4 out of 5 against the Nationals when they played in Washington before the All-Star break. Probably could have won 5 out of 5, right, in that 5-game condensed series. They should win all the games here. And I'm saying that knowing that it's Bailey Falter tonight.
Oh my gosh. Gee, just saying Bailey Falter's name makes me uncomfortable at this point.
Well, what is it? The 0-3, the 5.180 ERA?
No, it's the fact that on Peacock they're trying to say that Bailey Falter. Remember the Peacock broadcast that they were saying, he modeled himself after Sandy Koufax, and I love a Crucker just zings in there. He says, well, that curveball ain't like Koufax.
That's another thing that's made McCarthy better. Tom McCarthy's better on the games when Kruk is there because Kruk makes him better.
They have
a very good banter. Yeah.
Yes, I love it when it's McCarthy and Krucky together. To me, I'm not saying it's the same, but it has a similar vibe of like just 2 guys talking baseball, like when Harry and Wheeler used to do games together.
I would have gone Harry and Whitey back in the day, but yeah.
Well, I think that the reason why I don't get Harry and Whitey is because, and this is not to be a negative against Harry, but I think there were a lot of times, at least in my memory of listening to Harry and Whitey, there was a lot of deference in Harry's voice. There was a lot of times where Harry kind of was deferring to Richie Ashburn and not always just conversing with him. Whereas I felt like Harry and Wheeler, they were closer in age. They were more of kind of like, comrades, more than they were, sometimes it felt like Harry, when he'd be talking about Richie Ashburn, like you see them on TV together, and like he looks over at Richie and he'd be like, I can't believe I am broadcasting with Richie Ashburn.
That's right.
Like there was such an admiration Harry had for Richie Ashburn. At least that's how I observed it. Whereas I felt like, Harry and Wheeler were just 2 guys, who might go to the bar together.
Oh, yeah. Well, Harry definitely loved the bar. There's no doubt that, to me, I noticed this watching, I think, what was the last game of the Philly series before they went on the road trip, that I think that what makes the good broadcasting teams is that you don't feel the need to talk. Like you're comfortable with the silence. That 7-2 Braves game was a day game on Wednesday, so I watched that entire game, and I definitely saw periods of time where you just sit there and you just heard the ballpark. You didn't hear McCarthy, you didn't hear Kruk, you didn't hear anything, and that's when it's the most successful, in my opinion. So they don't feel the need to always continually be adding their comments or their voice. And plus, I mean, Kruk, my God, he just comes up with some of the funniest stuff. And it's interesting to me because, he's had a rough year personally. His health has been horrible.
Yeah.
His diabetes flared up. He has to have a hip replaced. You know, my father is 84 and also has to have a hip replaced. John Kruk is not 84. He shouldn't have to have a new hip by now. But because of that, did you see, Josh, that Krucker has lost 90 pounds?
It's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
You know, like it's one of those things where, like, you know, even Kruk said on the one broadcast, he was like, you know, he goes, well, the good thing is that I can fit in some old clothes now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, 90 pounds is ridiculous how much weight he's lost. And I hope that he gets his health right. And it is funny when he says things like, you know, you don't understand. I don't like people. You know, like, I really don't want to talk to anybody. And I'm thinking, like, ooh, these are little glimpses of the actual job. He is beloved, and yet he doesn't want to love us back. He's like, move along now.
My favorite was the other night where Krucky, or was it the day game where Kruk was like, does that mean we can get in on the we still have time to get in on the raffle? You know,
he loves the 50-50.
And McCarthy's like, yeah, we still got time. And he's like, well, I could try to run down there and get it. And Tom's like, well, John, by the time that you leave and come back, it'll be 3 innings gone between that cane and people saying hi to you. And Kruk's like, yeah, you should probably do it.
Because on Monday, he was down on the field. And that's a rarity. He went down on the field because he had to do something. I think he had a presentation to do for like a heart survivor kind of thing or something like that. And he got a chance to, like, that was his first chance meeting Brian Snitker. Told him congratulations, saw Eric Young, you know, some of the guys that were from his generation. And they showed a shot of him in the dugout talking to the Braves guys. And they were just thrilled that he made the effort to come down and see him. But also, you know, the guy moves so slow. When they opened the broadcast on Monday, they showed the empty chair. That was a directorial decision. and Tom McCarthy's like, Tom McCarthy here at Citizens Bank Park. And where's my partner? You know, like, he's here somewhere. Then they rang the doorbell like they do, you know. So and then he came in and got settled into the chair.
Happy hour with Pete Thompson. We're just having a good time here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Coming up on the other side, PT are going to try to pull some magic. We're going to try to Deaver Copperfield this show coming up on the other side. Also, Billy Schweim's Dutch Hoffman Lifeguard Racing broadcast tonight at 6 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM. That might be, folks, hint, PT, for what we're trying to pull off on the other side. So folks need to stay tuned. Coming back right at you, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Happy Hour Friday here on 97.3 ESPN.
Our love for sports is what makes us different from any other station in South Jersey.
Oh, yeah!
Number one for live sports and sports talk. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Secretary of Agriculture Doug Fisher here. Jersey Fresh eggplant is great fried, baked, or grilled. Pick up Jersey Fresh eggplant at your favorite market today. Love Jersey? Be sure to ask, is it local? Is it Jersey Fresh?
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit-on-the-go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Oh, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out their best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the summer fun sale, July 29th through August 8th, and get 35% off paints and stains with prices starting at $27.29. That means 35% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 35% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your local Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
With GMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's golf course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Water and aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
What you've heard about probiotics is probably wrong.
I eat yogurt, so I don't need to take a probiotic.
Probiotics? They don't really work. It's time to learn the truth about probiotics and join the Align Healthy Gut Team Up. Align has probiotics to naturally help relieve occasional bloating, gas, and abdominal discomfort. Try Align probiotics for a month and see how great a healthy gut can feel. Get $2 off your first month of Align at alignprobiotics.com.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Kelly, and here's what's happening in South Jersey. The Golden Nugget has now reached agreement with the Atlantic City Casinos Main Union. That's the last of the casinos to come to an agreement that pretty much guarantees another 4 years of labor peace in Atlantic City. Tourism business is good up and down the shore. It's actually been great despite the rise in gas prices. Great weekend weather during most weekends has played a big part in a solid summer so far. If you're heading down to the beach, be sure to check out our Wave weather and beach report on our station app.
Do you have questions about Medicare? For personalized guidance from a local Medicare expert counselor, call the SHIP hotline. SHIP is the state health insurance assistance program that provides unbiased help to beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers. Free. Call SHIP today at 1-800-792-8820, 800-792-8820, or visit aging.nj.gov. This ad made possible by the New Jersey Division of Aging Services with funds from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Both this evening and tomorrow evening could bring some stormy weather. Showers and thunderstorms look broken to scattered, but given how juicy the atmosphere is, heavy rain, gusty winds, crazy lightning are possibilities, so keep an eye on the sky. The rest of tonight will be muggy. Low temperature only falls to 75. Mostly cloudy and 88 tomorrow with those late-day thunderstorms. We lose the humidity for the weekend. Highs in the 80s. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know.
This isn't the olden days. Now, word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square, South Jersey, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in South Jersey you could reach online. Visit townsquarelocal.com and be the Town Square today. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, Josh Hennig here, back in, filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. So the bad news is there's no Radio Magic today. We were going to try to David Copperfield this show, and it turns out that they have postponed the Dutch Hoffman lifeguard memorial races. So no Billy Schweim tonight, which I know Billy Schweim is very disappointed about. I could pass along that message full-hearted. PT gets to stay in his house, not come into the studio. So no special Josh broadcasting from, parts unknown the rest of the show. So no lifeguard races tonight. Billy will just be back on tomorrow with the locker room at 10 a.m. on 97.3 ESPN. So we had to get that out there, Pete, for the folks.
Yeah, we were trying to pull off our David Copperfield, but hey, we'll try next week, I guess, right? Next Friday there's another race, and we'll try. Well,
there's a little less David Copperfielding because the MG is supposed to be back. So
allegedly, we'll see. Who knows? Those standby flights.
He's posting articles today. So
I know. I retweeted one about Chase Petty. I thought it was great.
Yeah. So either he is on his way back, or he just really likes working in another country.
I think they get cell phone service in Dubrovnik. Come on, right? I'll say this, that there's no lifeguard race tonight, and that is sad. But what's more sad to me is to see this story all day today that Jim's Steaks at 4th and South has suffered a major fire, and the building's probably a total loss. The guy has said, the owner has said that we will rebuild, and nobody was hurt, thank God. But my gosh, I used to tell people all the time when they'd say, what was the better steak? Is it Pat's or Geno's? And I said, go to Jim's, quite frankly. I thought of the three. That was and again, Tony Luke's is good, right? I get it. Although Tony Luke's got in a little trouble. Now it's just Tony's or something like that. So you can't screw up a cheesesteak in Philly. That's the first thing. Let's start with that, right? I used to get cheesesteaks at Temple off the truck, off the dude outside the Student Activity Center. You can't screw up a cheesesteak in Philly. You can anywhere else in the country, because I'm telling you, I've been in Nebraska, I've been in Iowa, I've been in California, I've been in all these different places where they have you want a Philly steak and cheese? No, first of all, it's called a damn cheesesteak, and secondly, I know that you're not making it the right way. But yeah, let's hope that they rebuild Jim's and could get it back to where it was.
Yeah, hope I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm sure they're going to have a lot of community support to get them back up and running.
I saw an interview with somebody on Action News earlier today, somebody who works down on South Street, and she alluded to the fact, we haven't had a good run lately because, of course, they had some gun violence on South Street not that long ago, and now this iconic cheesesteak place at 4th and South, it looks like it started electrical, but now they're worried about the structural integrity of the building. That's no good. That is no bueno. So, I'll just say this, that I've been there. I've been there late night. I've been there, one time I remember I came back from Nebraska and we had gotten a little inebriated in the city of Philadelphia, and we decided it would be a good idea to go to Jim's. Well, they got to cut it off at some point, right? Like and they were basically like, all right, this is it, last person in line. And I'm begging with the guy, I'm like 2 away. I'm like, please let me in. Please let me in. And he says, well, since you're wearing an Action News shirt, we're not going to turn away Action News. And I thought, boy, am I glad I wore this shirt. I'm hungry.
Pete, couple things here I want to get to. One is, so you do That's Entertainment.
Yeah.
Did you see this story about the Creed movies?
The one with the fact that Sylvester Stallone's complaining because he's not getting his fair cut and he doesn't think that his kids are going to be taken care of. Is that the story you're referring to?
No. So I just saw this today. So it's in that Deadline Hollywood
all right,
publication. They are making a spin-off of Creed called Drago.
Oh, okay. I see this. Yeah, spin-off. Here we go.
So Creed was already a spin-off of Rocky.
Right. Now we're spinning off the spin-off.
Creed.
Right.
And I'm just like, first of all, Do we really think, Pete, there's a market for people who want to see Drago's story? Like, Drago is the villain that people wanted to see get beaten. They didn't really have like some like love affair with him.
I will crush you. I don't know. Like, it's not a market for me, I don't think, unless it comes out and it has great word of mouth. Like, you have to see this. I think I told you on Tuesday that I didn't necessarily love Gray Man, and everybody thought Gray Man was great. I mean, I don't always think spinoffs and extras and trying to milk more or squeeze more out of the lemon is the way to go. But I don't run Hollywood. I just talk about it, What I will tell you is that there was something that dropped on Amazon Prime today called Paper Girls. And we didn't talk about this on Tuesday, quite frankly, because I forgot. But then I saw it in my phone. Like, I took the time to put an alert in my phone to remind myself to watch this show, Paper Girls. Now, why would Pete Thompson want to see a show about Paper Girls? Well, it has to do with time travel. And I am a sucker for anything in time travel. And the whole thing is, in the early morning hours after Halloween of 1988, 4 paper girls are out on their delivery route when they become caught in the crossfire between warring time travelers, and it changes the course of their lives forever. There you go. That's Paper Girls. So I'll check it out.
I mean, if I had Amazon Prime, I put it in the queue.
Oh, you gotta get Prime, dude. Maybe I'll find it. I don't know if there's a way I can share my information with you or not, but I got it.
Well, that's not that important.
For Bosch and for Terminal List was really good. What else
Terminal
is on Prime?
List is the one I really
How are you not watching The Boys?
Well, that's another thing I would watch.
You probably read the graphic novels, knowing you.
I did.
Yeah. Well, there was a season. I can't talk about it on terrestrial radio, but there was an episode this season that the showrunners were like, "How are we going to bring that to life?" And they did. It was a little adult themed.
Yeah. So Pete, Jay in Atlantic City chimed in earlier today.
Okay.
And he said that he stopped by a local liquor store to get ready for happy hour Friday with the PT.
Good.
So Jay in Atlantic City's listening and having a beverage.
But
he says that he's going to be trying this new Sure Tea hard iced tea.
Oh, the one with the Wawa tea or whatever in it? Yeah.
Yes. Now, PT, I know you're not as experimental as I am. So, would this ever be up the PT's alley, the hard iced teas?
I'll try one if it's not carbonated. Is it carbonated?
No. So the Sea Isle Ice has one too.
Yeah.
Like the Sea Isle Ice people.
Oh, I've seen that one. I've seen that Sea Isle Ice one blow up. That's been the drink of the summer.
Yeah, Sea Isle Ice do what Wawa's doing now. They lent their name to somebody else to make a hard iced tea. So
yeah,
now I'm curious to find out because there's a part of me that says in my mind, I know what Wawa iced tea is supposed to taste like.
Right.
So what does that mean when it's hard iced tea? So these are questions that I'm pondering now that Jay in Atlantic City texted that in.
Where did you have to go to get it? I thought you had to go to like a Pennsylvania Wawa / liquor store because there's some Pennsylvania Wawas that actually have liquor in them.
I'm not going to say the business on.
Oh, but it's around here. Okay, that's fine.
It's a business around here. Yeah. So.
All right. Well,
I'm
that
just
makes
curious.
sense. Actually, now that I think about it, the flip side of that is reverse. It's probably harder to get the Wawa hard iced tea in Pennsylvania than it is down here because Pennsylvania is that dinosaur state that still has state stores, or I guess now they call them wine and spirit stores. They don't really do packaged goods, and Pennsylvania is still the home of the beer distributor. Where are you going? I'm going to the beer distributor. What the hell is that? I love it when people come in and they go into like your ShopRite or they go into, a Wawa or 7-Eleven, whatever.
And they're Acme and Courthouse.
Yeah. And they're in there like, where the hell's the liquor? And you're like, not here. And they're like, but why not?
Yeah. So Jay in Atlantic City told me that he's going to see what all the hype is about. He'll get back to me. So
Well, there you go. Did you see the other news today that Charles Barkley has come out and said he will not be leaving for the Live Tour like everybody else, and that
I did see that.
He's going to stick with TNT for the rest of his broadcasting career, however long that goes. Also, apparently, and I think I saw this on maybe Marcus Hayes tweeted it out, that Phil Mickelson was about to tee off, and he was waggling over the ball, and someone yelled out something like, you should be ashamed of yourself. The Saudis will never be forgiven, or scream something out that.
See here, and I've said this before. I'll say it again here, really quick. Nobody cared that Saudi money is in their F1 racing, or when they watch Premier Soccer and the Saudi money that's in that. Nobody cared about the money that the Saudis poured into DAZN for boxing, right?
Oh yeah, DAZN,
But they only care about the Live Golf, and I always complain about this. This is the real whining and complaining that the HE can talk about, but he won't because he's a wimp. And that is, I whine and complain about this selective morality, Pete. It's, I can't stand this, but if anybody else does it, we'll just walk away from it.
Well, there you go. All I know is this. I have not watched 1 second of Live Tour coverage. Now, that's not a political statement. That's just a personal choice. Until it gets to a platform or somewhere that's more PT friendly,
it's a convenience.
I haven't watched it. Right.
You are a lot of people. A lot of people have not watched it because there's a lack of convenience with this thing. It's not, there's a group of people out there that they want to turn on fill in the blank network, or they want fill in the blank platform to promote that they have Live Golf. Instead, you got to go search Live Golf on YouTube.
I will be watching the Yinzer Palooza from PNC Park tonight. Apparently, that's what it is, according to Matt Gelb. It's game number 100 of the season. There's no Stott or Gregorius against the lefty. Camargo and Herrera up the middle, and it's going to be Yinzer Palooza with Bailey Falter versus Jose Quintana.
Phillies are probably going to lose tonight.
The very first tweet back to that was, as long as there's no Familia.
Pete, appreciate you jumping on. Good times. I'm glad we were able to do this today. I'm sure we'll be talking over the weekend. Take care of yourself, right?
You too, bud. Talk soon.
Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash. We will wrap up the show on the other side.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
The seafood, extraordinary. The value, tremendous. The sunsets, on the house. The Boathouse Restaurant and Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood. Experience the best of the Jersey Shore at Yuri's and the Boathouse.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
I want to make the most of summer without breaking the bank. So I shopped Kohl's Friends and Family sale. With my 25% off coupon, I headed to the store and got shorts for $14.99, plus an extra 50% off a swimsuit, 40% off patio furniture, and $20 off as a Kohl's Rewards member. More style and more savings for the win. Select styles, $20 off of $100 valid in store only. 25% offer ends July 31st in store only. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
I
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Did you take those big down payments?
You're darn right I did.
Your Honor, he is breaking the laws of Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. They made it clear. It's a crime to pay more than a dime. Every new Mitsubishi, one dime down.
Take them away. And at Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City, ask for credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get up to $25,000 in credit. So, what's the beat on inventory?
Other dealers are struggling, but not Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. 40 new Outlanders in stock now. An entire fleet of new and pre-owned. New Mitsubishis from just $17,000.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City.
In Pleasantville, they service all makes and models.
Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com. Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com.
New 22 Mirage, 16 Ford, 9 down, $249 a month for 72 months at 3% APR, plus tax tag title to qualified buyers.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
We're Town Square Media, and along with the awesome radio station you're listening to right now, we're publishers of best-in-class national entertainment brands like Taste of Country, Pop Crush, and more. And when combined with our local brands, we can reach over 70% of consumers in our community. At Town Square, all this digital clout puts us in a unique position to help local businesses grow with powerful marketing solutions. In addition to local radio, we're experts at web design and SEO, plus targetable advertising solutions like streaming TV, addressable geofencing, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, Spotify, search engine marketing, and so much more. That may sound like a lot of buzzwords, but really all that matters is we can deliver a relevant and ideal target audience to your business with data-informed decisions. No guessing, no waste, and you gain a trusted marketing partner with Town Square Media.
Take your business to the next level. Call our Director of Sales, Jim McLean, today at 609-910-5247.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
All right, wrapping up the show here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Thanks again to Pete Thompson for joining me for the 5 o'clock hour. Geoff Mosher's Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Ryan Rothstein from the Philadelphia CityCast and Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports all joined today's show. A couple texts want to squeeze in here. Shout out to Tom from Margate. Happy TGIF Friday to you. Do I think the Phillies can take 3 or 4 from the Pirates? I think they take 3 out of 4. I think they lose. Tonight feels like the night they lose because Bailey falters on the mound, honestly. Also, Jay in Atlantic City followed up and said that the Wawa Hard Ice teas are in short supply, only 1 6-pack per person. Yes, Jay and AC, that is wild. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
Tomorrow on ESPN Radio.
Bogarts, and it is going to disappear into the Boston night.
It's interleague action in Boston as Xander Bogaerts and the Red Sox welcome Christian Yelich and the Milwaukee Brewers, who are fighting for the top of the NL Central.
Yelich, fly ball to deep center field. Gone!
The Red Sox and Brewers. Coverage begins tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.